And I had a dream that someday I would just fly, fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away. I've been on my own for a minute. Is it only me out there? Searching for the place to begin it. Is it me? Is it you? Is it fear? Standing on the line I was given. People stare and ask me why I'm here. No one seems to think that I fit in. But I don't wanna be like them. No, 'cause I don't wanna be like them. 'Cause I know that I had a dream that someday I would just fly, fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away. Oh, 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 I'd fly away. No one knew how low I was feeling. I was scared to reach for it all, knowing I was here for a reason. But I was scared that if I tried, I'd fall. So where do I go now that I'm in it? I never thought it'd be like this. Dreamed it all my life and I did it. Thought the grass was greener than it is. 'Cause I had a dream that someday I would just fly, fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away. Oh, 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 I'd fly away. Oh, 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 I'd fly away. 'Cause I had a dream that someday I would just fly, fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away. Oh, 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 I'd fly away.
Well, I guess I have to fall in love with strangers. Red in New York City like a famous. And if our lives don't work, then we can change. Lord knows we'll change. Love will rearrange just like if you want freedom, you better freeze on. Better not run when I'm hanging on. Like if you want freedom, you better freeze on. Better not run when I'm blind. 'Cause I owe you, I am Wrapped in your city like I'm famous. And I did not want our love to be erased, but Lord knows we chased it. Love is rearranged us. Some things are long forgotten. Some things were never said. We were on one endless road, but I had a wandering heart. I said we were opposite lovers. You kept trying to prove me wrong, and I know that I ran you down. So you ran away with your heart. But just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the fault in us. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the fault in us. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. I know it's hard to hear it, and it may never be enough, but don't take it out on me now, 'cause I blame it all on myself. And I had a fear of forgiveness. I was too proud to say I was wrong, but all that time is gone. No more fear and control. I'm ready for them, both of us now. So just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the fault in us. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the fault in us. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the faultiness. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the faultiness. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the faultiness. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you. Baby, just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you back. Just know that I want you. I'll take the fall and the faultiness. I'll give you all the love I never gave before I left you.
All right, guys, welcome to your community meeting. Thank you guys for joining us. We're super excited to have this. I'm so sorry it took us a while to get this going. Arranging schedules can be really fun. I'm going to give you a little bit of rundown about what we're going to go through and how this is all going to work. We have decided to hold off requests until the end when you want to raise your hand to speak. If you don't feel comfortable speaking, you're more than welcome to use the community meeting chat. If you guys don't mind, try to keep any excessive chat towards the hangout or anything like that. Leave the community meeting for like questions or concerns that you might have about the city or things that you want answered. It just makes it easier for us to be able to filter through. We'll get started. The first things I want to talk about, or we want to talk about, are some of the, we want to start with some recognition on some players that we really feel like are bringing to the city what we want to see and what we're loving out of you guys. And then we're going to go into some things that we would love to improve as things we've been seeing in the city. And then towards the end, we'll go talk about a little bit about the dev work and some things that we're going to be upcoming, how much we've been working on, a little bit of that roadmap that you guys have been requesting, some of that transparency from us. So, all right. So first off, let's start with the recognizing of our players. I've got a list here of all the people that we thought have really went above and beyond, that truly embody role play and what it's about. I will start with their names, and then we'll talk a little bit about what they've been doing in the city and why we appreciate them. First person on my list is Johnny Probably with Dante, with Dante's Hot Dogs and his anime guy. We really love that you've taken scripts that are in the city to enhance your role play and to really make it something yeah, sorry, I got distracted by the damn community meeting notes. But yeah, so we really want to applaud you for Dante's Hot Dogs, being able to role play with what we have in the city, and just having fun with your characters. It really seems like you embody the role play, that you're exactly what we're looking for in a role play player. I don't know if he's here with us today, but the Unknown Blevins with Antoine Jackson, the homeless guy a lot of you guys see at Pillbox. I really want to take a moment to applaud this player because not only does he have great role play, but he doesn't use a single script in our city besides like our emote menu. And that's pretty much it. And eating and drinking. That's all that man does. And it's absolutely wonderful to see someone be able to have a great time every time they come into the city, with just literally just them and their mindset and their role play and what they bring to the table, and absolutely applaud him for what he brings. Tommy Two Shotty with all your characters that you bring, from Bertha to Cooter, the criminal role play that you bring, um, just really everything. Bertha was an amazing character. He really goes above and beyond. He stretches his voice to the limits anytime he brings a character in. We are so happy to have Cooter come back to our city and be a part of our community. And we love seeing how much he is enjoying himself every single day. We love how active he is in our Discord, how active he is with the community. So shout out to you. We really appreciate you. The Purple Gang. For those of you who have not met the Purple Gang, they are a new gang that has come into our city, but we want to applaud them for spicing up the criminal role play, for having a genuine good relationship, it seems like, with almost everyone in the city, but really making that criminal role play and giving our cops the role play that they much needed and much desired. So shout out to you guys for bringing that. We appreciate you. Along with the Purple Gang is Makeshift Mike, but for his character Sticky Ricky, another really creative character, someone who embodies just role play, who doesn't need much, and he just kind of runs with it and really has a great time while he does it. So we applaud you. Bling Skater obviously is one of our staff members, but for Tommy Tufts and the East Side's Vagos character that he brings, he is an excellent criminal. He's an excellent petty criminal. He loves to rob stuff, and we love to see it. He gets arrested, gets busted almost every single time, but he has a great time while he does it. So we really appreciate that. Auto Exotic. I want to shout out to that mechanic shop for bringing really realistic mechanics to us. I feel like they go above and beyond to go in depth with their role play. I feel like they really take the mechanic job seriously. I feel like their shop is on the up and ups. So thank you guys for that, for being one of the first shops to open up in our city, but also being a realistic mechanic shop to go to. We appreciate you for that. Another staff member, but not only a staff member, with Newt Zier and Anita Dump for the taxi company. Shout out to Newt for having a solid business foundation for his character as a businessman. I really do believe Newt goes above and beyond to embody the business title that he has. He is not one to really devil into criminal activities, but he embodies what he wants in his character. And that's like making those harsh choices of if he's going to fire someone, he really takes his business seriously. And I love to see that in a character who owns a business. So applauding you for that. Phantom Thief with Cannonball. Although Cannonball doesn't come into the city too much, we love to see him. He is such a creative character, and it always has a blast, anything he does. Very lighthearted and doesn't need much. Again, a lot of these players aren't using a lot of our scripts, but they're having wonderful role play with just their characters, and we thank you for that. And last but not least, we want to applaud Texas Booston with his cop character, Houston, and also his other criminal character. We really feel like you've brought a lot to our city, and we appreciate what you bring. We appreciate you taking the reins and really wanting to see, same with Andrew Smith, really getting this BCSO up and going, wanting to get the election for sheriff going. Love to see it. Love to see our PD growing and getting more out there and building up. So thank you guys for that. There is definitely more players that could have probably been on this list, but these are the ones that we really have taken note of. For the simple fact that these characters don't ask for a lot from us, and they're able to enjoy themselves and really bring a lot to our city with just the characters that they have and the characters that they've created. And they seem to really be enjoying themselves as well. So thank you for being a part of our community. Let me catch up on chat here. Oh, one that I actually forgot to list down was the VU. The VU obviously has been a central hub for our city. A lot of people go through those doors. So we want to applaud your guys' dedication to getting that business up and running. We want to applaud your guys' role play and all of that. And from speaking with you guys personally, we loved to hear about how you guys are branching out and becoming like more than just the VU and branching out in those different aspects of the city, whether it be bringing in your guys' gang or the other mechanic shop, stuff like that. We really appreciate that. And thank you again for being a part of our city. Okay, so let's get into the hard parts. We obviously wanted to take a moment to applaud you guys because we do see a lot of great things in our community. But along with that, there is some tedious things that we would love to see tidied up. And there's things that we need to mention as a whole. So the first and foremost is the NVL. If you don't know what NVL is, it's not valuing your life. There's a few different ways that we have seen this that could be improved. So we've seen several characters not realizing, and I had to make an announcement about it. When you get a gun pulled to you, you're at the mercy of the person that's holding that gun. It is in your best interest to go ahead and put your hands up, to abide by the NVL. Do anything that you can to preserve your life and follow the commands of that person. That's allowing them to take hostages. That's allowing them to follow through with their storylines. When you don't do that, you're ending role play for everyone involved. More than likely, the person that holding that gun is going to shoot you, and then you're going to end up getting hurt as well as that. So make sure you're valuing your lives in that way. NVL is kind of a vast variety of things. Some things that we've noted down are the extreme driving. While your car may go 200 miles an hour, you shouldn't be driving that way all the time. You should be trying to abide just like you're in a real city. Though there might not be a lot of cops on at that time, you should think that that cop is just around the corner and you're going to get pulled over for speeding. You're going to get pulled over for reckless driving. You're not valuing your life when you do that. When you're jumping out of the car or you're getting ran over by your friend or petty things like that, that breaks immersion. So for immersion purposes, clean it up a little bit, guys. Let's try to really value our lives as characters. You don't want to go to Pillbox every 5 minutes. If you're one of those people that are seeing the doctor or going to Nancy more than you'd like to, maybe you guys should clean it up a little bit, be a little bit safer, or preserve your character's life. Along with valuing your life, we'd like to talk a little bit about EMS. I would love to see, I guess not I, but we would love to see you guys even willing to extend your injuries out. A lot of times what we see is players going in, getting treated, coming out, and going right back to what they're doing. While it's completely acceptable, it's not something that you're going to get banned for. It would be great to see players that are willing to extend their injuries. What we say by that, like, go ahead and limp out the hospital, limp for the next couple hours. If you broke your leg, get a wheelchair, or vice versa, have someone drive you around. If you're taking painkillers, take that stuff seriously. That helps keep the immersion, and it helps advance your role play. Use it to advance your character stories. I want to, I guess, use an example, which is Cooter, which actually wasn't in the city, but one of the things that has stuck out in my mind for this instance was Cooter's character suffered severe burns in a prior city that we managed, and he used those burns to further his role play. He continued to play on that storyline. So it'd be great to see people taking their injuries a little bit more seriously, and using that to enhance your role play to create a better environment for everyone. Along with EMS, we want to talk about administering first aid. If you're off duty, it is unlikely that you guys would be able to revive a player while you're off duty, right? You should be more likely to go back to pillbox or actually call for medical assistance. What we've seen is people intentionally hurting someone, hurting their friend, and then reviving them right after. It's just immersion breaking, guys. Take them back to pillbox. You don't have the tools that you need when you're off duty and you're out fishing, or you're out running the roads to revive your character, or you're reviving your friends. Take them back. That role play in that EMS so desperately deserve. EMS are really hard to come by in any city. It's a hard job to do because it's a boring one. And what we can do to make that better is like we've stated, obviously valuing your life a little bit better, but role playing out your injuries, giving them the opportunity to actually treat you. A lot of times people will take their persons right past an EMS to go to Nancy. And that's not fair for the EMS who's been sitting there all day with nothing to do. Get treated by that EMS. EMS, we'd love to see you take it a step further. A lot of times it's in and out. You guys are patching them up and throwing them out. It'd be great. Utilize those rooms in your pillbox. You've got X-ray machines, you've got MRI machines, you've got all these different machines and places to advance your role play. Perform surgery. A great example was a player, used a chainsaw once to saw on someone's leg. Absolutely hilarious. Off the grid, it's not super serious, but it makes great role play. It extends it out. It lets you have that much needed role play. So for as much as we need players to be there for our EMS, we need EMS to take it a step further. Really try to treat your patients. I love to see the medical records that you guys keep. I love to see the treatment processes that you guys do. But I really think that there's even more that you guys could go for. Let me get a drink here. God dang. All right. Next on the list is DMing staff, or DMing the devs. So we have a chain of command. And the reason we have admins, the reason we have support staff is to help support us flat out. We want to make a healthy environment for our developers. So often it is super easy to get burnt out as a developer. If you only knew how much code, which some of you do, some of you guys have experience in development, you guys know exactly how much code goes into these things. And to say that to players that don't understand, it takes a lot, especially with what we're doing right now. We are trying to do a lot of custom coding, making New Era a place that no one else will have. And that's what we ultimately want. When you're DMing us, a couple things happen. For one, it may get lost in the abyss. So that means whenever you send me a question or you send me a concern of yours, as much as I want to answer it, a lot of times I'll read it and be like, yeah, I'll reply to that. And then later on, it just gets lost. So making a ticket helps us stay organized. It helps us have an archive to go look back on. It helps us move forward. With all of us as staff to have our opinions on something or be able to deliberate it out and really get a good quality response for you or an answer for you that we all agree on. Not one of us makes the sole decisions here. We're all a team and we work like that and we make decisions like that. So we also understand that some people may not have that trust, right? You guys may not know some of these players. You may not have, you may want to talk to someone at the top. But even those people at the top have to come back to the people at the bottom because we have to have all of our opinions flowing. We have to have all of our options out there, basically. So keeping that in mind, same with again with the dev team, it's really important for us to create that healthy environment. A lot of times they had to make a choice basically when they started developing for our server. Did they become a part of our community and be a player, or do they dev? And as Chuck took on his title, for example, he had to make a hard choice. He was I don't know your rank. I'm sorry. Excuse me for that. But he was a high ranking officer. He had a lot to do with our police department. But the amount of work that we had on our plate outweighed the ability for him to go in and enjoy the city. And he's constantly in the dev server testing, repeat testing things over and over and over again. So for his sanity, his mind's sake, he decided to step away a little bit from the police department and focus solely on development. So whenever you guys are reaching out to them, sometimes they don't really know. Your admins and your support staff are more inclined to know what's going on in the city because we are in the city, and that's the whole point. We're a part of the community. We want to be a part of the community, and we want to see it firsthand. One of the big things that we really wanted to talk about today is obviously we've had a lot of frustrations out there. A lot of players getting frustrated and complaining about things in character. They're talking about us as a government entity. Being with that, your character really doesn't know who we are. Like, as a staff team, we exist on the outside of the city. We're not in character at all. We're not people that you should refer to in character. Think of creative ways to talk about it. If you're having, scuffs or issues, role play it out to the best of your abilities. There's a shop up north that has a lot of issues right now. A great example is they talk about, the guy I bought it from left it in shambles, and we're working along with the construction company to get stuff done. That's a creative way to talk about us, but without actually breaking character and saying, well, the government said this, the government said that. We're not your government. The city will have a fully functioning government once we get to that point. We want to see a mayor. We want to see a city council. We want to fully develop our Department of Justice. We want to see these government entities come into play. So when you start talking about government, people are going to get confused because we have a real government in the city, and then you have your staff team. So keep it in character, guys. We understand that things are frustrating, especially when you don't know necessarily what's going on or what's being worked on. Things are always being worked on. We're constantly working on something. Now, whether it be something that you guys think that should be worked on, it might not be the case. So if you're getting frustrated, if you're complaining, you're taking immersion away from other people. Other players want to enjoy the role play that's there. So let them enjoy that role play. Keep your problems out and in the Discord server. We have all these resources for you, whether it be the ticket system or the feedback form. The feedback form is an amazing tool. It gets to us. You can remain anonymous if you want to. And you can give us much needed feedback that you feel is necessary. And I promise you, we read all of them and we do take them into consideration. So we try our best to give you all the tools necessary to keep it in character as much as you can when you're in the city. Same for your staff team. A lot of cities will staff inside their city, and we don't do that. We keep everything outside of the city for a reason, because we're maintaining that immersion for you guys. All right, let's see. Just a reiteration of separation of character. A lot of these are very basic roleplay rules, but we do feel it necessary to reiterate on some of these things. It seems like some people are taking things OOC. So if there's beef and drama in the city, that's wonderful. We want to see beef and drama in the city. But you're not meant to take that personally. What happens to your character is happening to your character and not to you in Discord. You guys could have beef in the city and come out of the Discord and be best friends, and that's completely acceptable, and you should be. That means you have a healthy character. If you're not able to maintain that separation, it really breaks immersion. Along with that, we've been seeing this more and more. It's not something that you're going to get banned over. You might have to have a conversation with us. But we've been hearing the word cousin a lot lately. All right. The cousin to us is a little bit frowned on. You'll see it. It's a very common thing in every 5M server that you've been in. That cousin is an acceptable word. Now, what happens is you're subconsciously taking that information from your cousin's character and you're using it to influence your new character's decisions. If you talk about your cousin in just like your day to day life, it's absolutely unacceptable. If you're using that information to influence your character's decisions, that's meta. You're breaking a server rule by doing that. So, your cousin or your character, your alternate characters, should not ever be related in any way, shape, or form. They don't know each other, nor will they ever meet each other. There is some acceptable gray areas, like having a brother come into the city after your character's permadeath to investigate your character's death. Completely acceptable because those characters will never meet and they're learning about their own character in city way. So there is some acceptable gray areas with this, but what we're seeing is people utilizing the cousins as a way to enhance their other characters. And not fair to anybody else who is true to role play. It's a separation of character issue. If you guys have questions about that, please feel free to ask us. We would love to see players who are more apt to ask before they act in city. And go back and read the server rules. They're detailed as heck for a reason. There is a whole section under separation of character to help you understand what that means and why it's so important to our city. I apologize. I see the community meeting chat lighting up a lot. We have other staff members that are moderating that, and we will go through and we'll talk about anything that's being said in there. So I apologize if I keep rambling and I haven't stopped to read any of that. We want to at least get through what we want to say, and then we'll have some more opportunities to really talk about what you guys want to hear about. Yeah, so we got the OOC thing. So not taking it personal, maintaining your separation of character. So let's talk about exploiting game mechanics. When you guys exploit something, exploiting can be a vast term as well. One of the most common things that we see being exploited right now is the tackling. You're kind of ruining it for everyone else. When we see something that's being exploited, we have two options. We can either address it to the community as a whole, or we can take it out of the city. The last thing that we want to do is take mechanics out of the city that we have brought to you to enhance your roleplay. But it's breaking immersion at this point. Almost every single time we see someone, they're getting tackled multiple times, obnoxiously, with no real role play behind it. There are some instances where tackling is acceptable, right? Like, there is going to be those times where it's okay to tackle your friend, whatever. But when your guys are doing it 5, 6, 7 times, or to almost every single person that you see, it is immersion breaking and it becomes an exploitation. And we want to leave these in the city for players who utilize it. When you guys are exploiting stuff, it just ruins that for them. They can't use it to enhance their role play because we have to take it out. Another one is handcuffs. If you're handcuffing people for no real good reason, it's another form of exploitation. You guys are abusing those mechanics that we have there for you to enhance your role play. But ultimately, it breaks that immersion for us. So we'd love to see you guys utilizing those mechanics a little bit better. Same for if you're in city and you find a glitch, something that happens. If you continue to use that glitch, we'll get to it, right? We'll get to it. We'll be able to fix those things. We can script around it. But as a player, you have to have the mindset that I'm not going to exploit this mechanic because I know that that's against the rules, So keep that in mind when you guys are repeatedly using these things over and over with no role play or no real reason to do those things or no motivation. Because like I said, it is ruining it for everyone else. We're getting towards the end here, I swear. So one of the last things that we wanted to talk about is doing your best not to identify by voice. And I've seen this all across the spectrum. A lot of times it happens with police officers. You get kind of in the habit of having interactions with these characters. But you have to remember, in a living, breathing city, there would be, thousands of people around every single day. The likelihood that you would identify someone by voice is minimal, unless you are good friends with them. and you see them on a daily basis. They're really, you should kind of keep in mind you should at least have two reasons to identify that person. If they have a signature outfit, I hate to use Tommy Tufts as an example, but his signature yellow with his shirt off. So you almost always know that it's Tommy. And then hear his very distinctive voice. So it's really easy to identify who he is. But when he's all blacked out and he's going to a robbery, he should get that freedom to create his storyline, from his character. And obviously that goes for the characters as well. Not only should our police and other players be aware that we can't just identify them by their voice, but our criminals also should be aware that they need to make strives in order to um, resist being identified by that, whether that be blacking out from your normal outfit, changing your voice, whether that be your pitch or your tone or using a voice changer. Obviously, nothing obnoxious with the voice changers, but if you want to lower your tone or use something that disguises your voice, that's completely acceptable. So yeah, just keep in mind we're not trying to identify players by their voices. We need to have more reason to identify who that person is, especially if they're wearing a mask. One of the most basic things in roleplay is if that person is wearing a mask, they should be a little bit harder to identify. You shouldn't know who it is. Obviously, if it's a signature outfit, again, if they're always wearing that mask, they're more inclined to be identified by that. But if they're changing it up, if they're making the attempts to disguise their character, let them disguise their character. Let them have that storyline. Okay, and then finally, we wanted to talk a little bit about the dev work, which I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting on. We wanted to talk about what we're working on, what our priorities are, and yeah, some of that. So when it comes to our dev side, this is all volunteer based. You guys obviously all know that we don't get paid for what we're doing here. We all, a lot of us, especially the developers, do this as a hobby. So people who want, for example, Micro's not with us today. Micro's one of our developers who's been taking on the phone. She's been taking on the banking script. Some things, that are really important to us that are huge projects, whether they're in another language or they need to be completely rewritten. We've got these people who are taking on these hard challenges of rewriting these entire scripts. So they're tied up doing that, which makes, Biggs and Chuck are really focusing on our bugs and some of the things that we want to implement. But at this point, I'm going to actually turn this over to Chuck. If you're ready, you want to talk about, I believe he's going to talk about some of the things he's been working on personally. Yeah, so have Chuck.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Apples. Hi, everybody. I think I met most of you in game, but one of the big things that I've been working on since joining the dev team has really been fixing a lot of the jobs. So if you've done the pizza delivery job, for example, that went through multiple rewrites to basically make it actually function and function correctly and reliably. There are jobs that are kind of like the pizza job, but might not be legal as well. And so for those jobs, some of them have actually seen massive rewrites. So if you've done the pizza job, you know that sometimes you get zigzagged all over the city as you deliver pizzas. But for maybe some of those illegal jobs, maybe you don't. There might be some logic and a little bit of thought that's been put behind the direction that you move through the city to make it a little bit more realistic. And also, that way it's a little bit better as a player. More recently, I spent a lot of time working on one of the larger illegal jobs, and most people seem to know what this is. Apple's, stop me if you don't want me to mention the direct name of it.
Yeah, you go ahead. This
Okay.
one's actually reflected in our F7 menu. So I
Perfect.
think that for the most part, everyone knows that this exists. Now, whether or not you know where it is, that's on y'all.
Yep. So if you've done the truck robbery job, which it's illegal, so don't do it. But if you have done it, it's had a lot of problems. And this thing originally started in Dutch, so I had to translate the whole script from Dutch to English, which this is all over the place as well. There's so much stuff that's in Dutch. I actually found something last night that was in Dutch. So I have to translate it from Dutch to English to then understand what the hell it's trying to do. and it was a massive rewrite. So the truck robbery job for New Era is completely custom at this point. So there's really not much that has existed from the original version of the script that you can get to what we have now on New Era. It's really robust. It's very scalable as well. So adding new locations to how it works, to actually the way that the job functions from a technical standpoint, it's all way more robust and works so much better. Just this week, well, I guess technically it was like last week and this weekend, it was almost 30 hours of my time just spent working on this thing and testing it. So just to make one thing not suck takes a huge amount of time. And like this is kind of the care that I've been taking, and Eric and Micro do it as well, like with everything, is when we look at fixing bugs, it's not just necessarily fixing the bug that's reported. A lot of times we're going through and actually rewriting and cleaning up. The term is refactoring, but basically you look at the code and you clean it up and make it A, easier to read, but B, that makes it a lot easier to tweak and fix things that come up down the road. So, for example, when we started doing some of the other illegal stuff that I've been working on, a lot of the initial work is rewriting it to make it like in its current form, rewriting it so it's easier to read, it's easier to fix bugs on, and then going and making improvements to it. So there's like a time cost up front. And an example of where that process didn't happen is the truck robbery job. So if you use the truck robbery job up until basically the last week, you'll know that it was kind of weird to use and it didn't work great. It still technically worked, but it kind of sucked. But the complete rewrite of it took a lot of time. And normally, at least when I've been working on jobs, I don't really release things in kind of piecemeal parts, just kind of like one big fix. And the truck robbery job is an example of that. But also not illegal jobs I've been working on. So things like converting the taxi company to be able to be owned by a player. That's sounds simple. There's a lot involved with it, including getting a new taxi building. And so there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. Another thing, and I don't actually think I can share my screen in this, but when it comes to cars, the file that controls like how cars drive on our servers, that way it doesn't feel like GTA Online. Ebigs and I have spent a couple hours going through it and playing around and trying to figure out how this stupid thing works. It's 40,000 lines. This thing is ginormous, and trying to tweak everything about the cars to make them work is a lot of time to go through this thing and make it function. And I think Eric and I spent a couple hours one night trying to figure out if some of the settings we were doing in the mechanics shop were actually saving to the car. And he had made a tweak to the file in a test environment, and he ended up changing the suspension of like a slug bug. So that way the wheels, when you went to the mechanics shop and actually like tweaked the car, the wheels ended up flipping around 180 degrees. So the hubcaps were facing the body of the car and the calipers of the brakes were facing outward. It looked hilarious. But that's the kind of stuff that we have to do when we're trying to figure out how some of this stuff works, because documentation is lacking in a lot of ways. And it's not totally clear what the steering max degree of 30 means, and like what that should be. So there's a lot of time that is spent on that stuff. So there's a lot of things that we're fixing behind the scenes that you may not even notice. But we're trying to make the city overall work a lot better, trying to fix bugs for the scripts that we do have, and make the city feel cohesive. One of the current projects we're going through is, as we're working on things, anytime we see interact text where it's like press E to do something, we're making sure that it's all formatted the same. So little gray boxes around it with a colored button in the middle, and trying to make the text consistent so it feels like it's built by one city rather than 1,500 random developers on GitHub making these scripts. So Yeah, that's what I want to say. And then specifically, I want to give an enormous shout out to Eric or Ebigs for all of the tools that he's built for the developers. Normally, to do what we're doing, it's actually really complicated and slow to move changes to a test environment, to test our changes, and then to ultimately roll them out. He has built this amazing workflow where we're able to work locally on our computers, develop on a local version of New Era. Once we get to a point, we can deploy and merge changes into our developer environment, which is like a dev. It's a server that then we can do testing with the staff and stuff, and then move it automatically into the next hurricane. So he has built an amazing workflow that has made my life and Micro's life so much easier. And then lastly, I want to highlight some of the stuff that Ali's been working on, and then I don't know if Eric wants to talk afterwards, but one of the things that Ali or Micro has been working on is all of the phone stuff. This is a gigantic steaming pile of dog poo code. It is awful, and it's written with a really awful version of JavaScript, and there are bugs everywhere. And the amount of time and effort that she's had to put in to make like things that you thought were working that actually didn't work is pretty amazing. So she has spent so much time trying to make the banks work like you would expect, and that the game shows you does, but it doesn't actually. Behind the scenes, things don't work. And so there's errors in the dev console on the server side. There's issues on the client side. And you see those errors in your FA menu. That's all stuff she has been working on, like constantly trying to get that thing to a point where it's scalable and it's fixed and it's working. Because then she has some amazing ideas of what she wants to build on top of it after that point. And once it's cleaned up, then she can start to enhance the phone and the bank experience. So I really appreciate everyone who's reported bugs and gives us a lot of detail in their bug reports. Just hearing that something didn't work isn't particularly helpful. Like it's hard to recreate an odd issue without a lot of details, without screenshots or a screenshot of your F8 console menu. So for those of you that do report those bugs, those tickets go to the dev or to the admin team, and then they'll post it on our project board with your screenshots and descriptions and who reported it. So if we need to follow up with you, they'll add us to your ticket, and we can start working on it. So for those that have been reporting it that way, I really appreciate it because it's a lot easier to track down a bug when there's a specific line of code that's being referenced in that console. And for those that haven't been doing that or haven't reported bugs that they've seen, I would personally greatly appreciate the screenshots because they really make life a lot easier. Eric, I'm not sure if you want to say anything or if not.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, all, I'm Ebigs. I know you probably guys don't hear from me much. I don't really talk too much in the chat. I apologize for that. I want to get more active in the community. But as for what I do, I've been the main developer for the brunt of the project, at least in the beginning. Getting the server up and running. We spent a couple months doing that, and now we're at the point where we're kind of dealing with the repercussions of some of the, as Chuck was talking about, a lot of the scripts that we are using for the framework that we're using. FiveM's cool because a lot of people have spent a lot of time and made free resources available, but a lot of the people who make these free resources are new to coding, and so a lot of their stuff is super buggy and not only super buggy, but super hard to read as a developer. So they take time to parse and clean up. And so that's what we're kind of at right now, is going through and cleaning things up. And there's lots of different parts of the server that require that. There's the civilian lifecycle. There's the individual jobs, like mechanics. Criminals need stuff. PD needs stuff. EMS needs stuff. And so we try to cycle around and hit stuff as best as we can. And a lot of it right now is foundational stuff that we're doing. And so once we get through a lot of this, we'll start, I think you guys will start to see some more what feels like more rapid changes. But I'm really looking forward to some of the things we're going to be bringing forward here soon. And yeah, I can't tell you how excited I am to get through some of the grunt work and get into some of the fun feature work that we want to do. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think kind of conclusion to this is even though it is taking us a little bit more time than your average copy paste developer, they are building a foundation. And when we originally opened the city, we got the base started for this. We had a community of people who were waiting on us to open a city. They were anticipating it. They already were sitting in our Discord, even though we didn't have a city open for them yet. We had some very committed people to what we're doing. So that meant that we opened a city that sure we could have spent more time developing on and getting it to where we exactly want it. But ultimately we're building a foundation that we can build off of. And yes, it's taking us a little bit time, like they said, to clean up some of these scripts, to clean up all this stuff. But once we get it clean, once we get it to where they can easily go back and read their own code to be able to implement new features, additions, and bug fixes, anything like that, it'll be well worth the wait. So, to the people that are waiting on some of the proposals that you've submitted, we love to see these proposals come in, and we really do appreciate your patience. And when we have the time to invest some love into your guys' stuff, it's going to be above and beyond what you want. We're going to really try our best to give you guys what you're asking for, and then also make it something that's completely original to New Era. And we do appreciate your guys' patience, and we know that you guys are really wanting transparency overall from us. And we are going to make strives to be as transparent. We want to have an ability for you guys to kind of see what's being worked on. Right now, the reason the radio silence that you guys have been experiencing was really hasn't been silent on our end. We've been really consistently working. A lot of it is criminal oriented, things that we want to leave for your guys' ability to go and explore and find in the city. It makes it fair for everyone across the board, and it obviously eliminates the meta issue. We want to, we would love to give you guys detailed explanations of everything that we're working on, but this huge project that's in front of us right now is going to be a great addition to our city. Not only that, it just takes it takes a little bit more time than you guys would normally expect from us. So we do appreciate that patience. We're going to move forward, though. I know that we do have several people who probably want to ask questions, who have things that they maybe want to talk about. So at this time, if you guys have things that you specifically want to ask to your developers or to your staff members, you can hit the community meeting chat. I'm going to pull up my feedback form. So if there's something that you guys want to remain anonymous about, feel free to go ahead and submit that feedback, and we'll try to go over that as well if we have time. Once we kind of go through the chat there, I'll actually open up the request to speak. If you guys feel like you want to ask some personal questions or have a chance to actually talk to us, we'll give you the reins and be able to address the whole community, okay?
One thing I just want to add really quick, Apples. So when we were testing the request to speak earlier, we were having problems getting it like the alert once we chose someone to show up. So after you request to speak, if you see that your hand turns green and you don't see anything that lets you speak, like click into a different server and come back to your Discord, and you should see a green banner. If you have that problem.
Okay, let's start from the top here. We've got Stephen Wallace, who left a little bit of notes since he couldn't make it. I'll go ahead and read what he's put. He can't make it to the audio portion, but some of the things he wanted to add or be interested in getting a response to. A weekly communication article, key outlines of information of upcoming known bugs, fixed stuff. So like we said, it's kind of across the board. Our developers, like Micro, for example, is another good example. I know she can't be here today, so it's hard to use her, but she's working on the phone and the bank, which may not seem like a priority to some of you guys, but without a functioning financial system, we don't have an economy. So it is something that is a huge project for her, and that's what she's solely working on. when it comes to actual updates, we are making updates, but some of these things we can't make updates about because it would be meta information. So we do plan to be more transparent and try to get back on board with our patch notes as much as we can. As for a weekly communication article, I would love to do it for you guys. I would love to give you guys an article every week about what we've been working on and what our plans are. But it's just not realistic for us. You know, we all have day-to-day lives that we have to function with. We all our life jobs, you know, we all have things that we have to do. We have to try to balance this. So we'll give you guys updates as much as we can, but to give you something that you can expect every single time, we don't want to make empty promises to you guys. You know, we want to hold to our word. So if we tell you that we're doing something, we want to do it for you. We don't want to give you guys any sort of promises and then not follow through. That's just as bad as not giving you guys anything at all. His next question was the DOJ status and the plans. So the DOJ has fallen kind of on my shoulders. So I do apologize for anyone who has applied to be a lawyer. I know Cooter has gotten to be a lawyer and he's been role playing it out. One of the things I will say when it comes to this stuff, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to do those things, you can role play that out 100%. The cops are more than willing to work with you and like get you going. And when I see you guys in the city actually role playing out as a lawyer, I'm going to be like, damn, I need to get in there and like hire them on as a lawyer. But ideally, the reason that Department of Justice hasn't made a full appearance yet is because I'm still searching for players who want to be judges, for players who are interested in being a DA, for players who are interested in all these high ranking positions in order for DOJ to actually function and operate. We can have lawyers all day long that come in and they want to, you know, haggle with the police and do those types of things, you know, and that's more than welcome. You guys are more than welcome to do that. But to get DOJ up and running, I need these crucial roles filled before we can actually get going. And what that's going to take is someone who has a little bit of experience in law, whether it be in your real life or you've RP'd it in the past. You know, if it's something that you're interested in, please reach out to us. I will be more than happy to share all the documentation, all the training guides, all of the warrant things that I have, all of the, you know, the court case stuff that I have. We have all kinds of mock trainings and all kinds of stuff that's already there that we've worked on getting it together. And we had a lot of help with that as well. But for me personally, I'm a tad inexperienced when it comes to the higher end of DOJ. So to make that a functioning organism that works along with our police department and doesn't cause a huge conflict and split in our community, we need to make sure it's right. So I apologize for the wait on the DOJ, but it is going to be, again, it's going to be worth the wait ultimately when we can get these people in and hustling on it, and people that have experience with it, if they, you know, they can bring new ideas to the table to help us make a better Department of Justice. It's something that I've seen in the past it can be hard to get up and running. So that is definitely something on the plate. The new staff structure that we did really has helped take some of the pressure off of Pajan and I as the CMs, because I guess a little bit about that. We don't want a bunch of players running around with the ability to teleport, to spectate, to ban, to kick, to warn players, right? We want to keep that to the minimum because we don't want people to abuse it flat out. That is a lot of trust to have into someone, to have the ability to have those powers, because we can't use them. You know, in the rule books that we've created, you know, our whole goal as a staff member is to maintain the immersion while we're in the city. We use it when we have to. You know, we absolutely do not want to use that with free reign. You know, there is structure to it. There is reasons we use it. There has to be reports. There has to be moderation. There has to, you know, be all these things in line for us to be able to follow through with those powers. And we do that for you guys. And we do it for us as well, to create a healthy environment for us to be able to maintain the separations of our staff status and our characters, because we want to be able to play in the city just as much as anyone else does. You know, we're creating this whole thing, but we want to enjoy it. We don't want you guys to recognize us as the staff, you know, because at the end of the day, we're players right along with you. We're here to to role play. We're here to enjoy what we're creating. We're not here to be a staff member while we're in the city, if that makes sense. When we're outside of the city, that's a whole different story. We're working alongside each other, debating on what things we're going to bring in, etc. So I kind of got off the rein there, so I'll skip down to the next one. Crime payout. There's a little misinformation there. So just to rob two, basically crime payout. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of that. You guys can read it for yourselves. We do plan to make some boosts to the criminal aspect of our city. There's no real reason we should even tell you guys all that, but we are going to make some crime boost payouts. Our original economy was set extremely low. Oh yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. We actually built some of this stuff to be randomized, right? So a lot of it's based on your luck. Sometimes you're going to hit that bitch and it's going to give you this, and sometimes you're going to hit it and it's going to give you that. And it's never going to be consistent. It's never going to be the same thing, because that's realistic. You're not going to hit something and always get the same amount of money out of it every single time. So that's something to keep in mind. Along with that, when we originally started the economy, it was a lot lower. If any of you have been with us from the start, you actually seen some of those boosts come into play. We boosted a lot of the outside jobs, which has in turn made it more profitable to be a law-abiding citizen than it does to be a criminal. We're very aware of that, and we are going to take that into consideration and move forward with getting you guys some better payouts on this stuff, especially when it comes to the dirty money aspect. A lot of your criminal activities are all tied to that dirty money, so that takes a cut of your profits. We realize that. We will make changes according to that. Let's see the next one. I scrolled down here and I lost it. Y'all are blowing this shit up. I haven't read anything, so I'm sorry. Lack of weapon variety. So I'm not going to go into this because this is a meta thing all over the board. I can promise you that there are things out there for you. You guys just haven't found them yet. And now, whether or not it's hidden behind something or vice versa, if it's just out there that you haven't found it yet, there are ways for you guys to get better stuff. Let's see here.
I believe Zappy wanted to speak on something. I don't know if we want to go ahead and open that up or.
Sure, yeah. Is there anything else that has been recently mentioned here that we need to answer?
There was a question about having a couple, or having the ability to have more than one job, or having more local jobs.
I can speak to some of that, especially the hunting part. So first of all, we definitely want to get more what was called local jobs, what we're kind of calling part-time jobs. Just jobs that you can do that don't require you to actually, like, it's not your official job, it's just activities you can do. Like fishing and pizza and hot dog. Um, Hunting is one of them that we want to do as well. We've wanted to get that in for a while. The issue has been we've been plagued by this bug where animals aren't spawning. And it's been a wild ride because I originally got it working and then suddenly it stopped. And it's actually interesting. Just earlier today, I figured out why animals aren't spawning. It was because of a specific MLO, the Legion Square MLO, as a matter of fact, oddly. So we've discovered that issue, and so I expect that we'll be moving forward on hunting sooner rather than later. And not just hunting though, local jobs in general, part-time jobs is definitely something that we want to do. We haven't made a decision on a lot of this stuff yet, but I don't expect us to ever allowing you to have two what we call full-time jobs, which are the jobs where you actually like it says that's your job, like for example, EMS or mechanic or whatever. Just because it doesn't really make sense. y- we the the jobs should be something that is like your character's focus and it's your character's storyline. And if you're having like all these jobs, or if you're constantly switching jobs, it doesn't really make sense. And the thinking behind it is the idea behind it is more the the storyline should be making sense in a way that 5M is kind of the GTA stuff is kind of a veneer on top of just enhancing roleplay. It's not the other way around. The game serves the roleplay. The roleplay doesn't serve the game. So I don't expect us to have multiple full-time jobs for one character, but we definitely are going to get more part-time jobs available. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where he was going with the job thing, a lot of what we see is you guys as players, like your character should have a backstory. Like literally the first thing in the rules is that we're a storyline RP. And what that means is that your character has a background, they have a personality, they have character traits that you should embody. And it doesn't make sense for a PD officer to also be a gang member, right? You know, so that's kind of like, and that's like a really extravagant example. But that's kind of what is being said here is that you should, you know, your character, you know, if they're a businessman, they should be a businessman. They should be owning businesses. If you're going to be a criminal, you should be a criminal type of thing. Not saying that you shouldn't have a job, you know, as a cover business or something like that. But that's how you should orchestrate it. Wanting to have multiple avenues for you to go down kind of defeats that purpose, you know. So having your character have an actual story to go off of what their ideas are and what they're going to be pursuing in the future is a great way. Not that you can't switch gears, you can definitely do that. But there's other character slots as well. You're more than welcome to use those character slots to experience other avenues that you want to go down. You know, if you're the owner of the VU, but you want to work for EMS, maybe another character slot is more for your style because you know, how often do you see EMS being strippers as well? You know, it's not super realistic. Now that's a bad example because we do have that going on in the city. It's not really a bad example, but that is kind of what we're saying is that your storyline should match up with your employment. You know, there's characters out there like Cooter who has a great storyline of using his RV and he's a drunk, you know, and he doesn't really work a job, you know. Same with Antoine. He doesn't use anything. He's just a homeless guy. He one of the things I wanted to emphasize on that he does personally is you know, there was a request for dumpster diving to be implemented into the city, and while that is something we're looking at and we want to incorporate into our server, he's still dumpster diving. He did not let that stop them. You know, Antoine still dumpster dives even though he can't scriptly dumpster dive, right? So don't let scripts stop your role play. You know, you guys can use your imagination. You can, if you want to own Burger Shot, go down to the store, buy you a bunch of burgers or sandwiches, and go up to Burger Shot and open that bitch. You know, like there is so many ways that you guys could go about RPing some of this stuff out and actually role playing it. And that gives us incentive. We see you guys trying. We'll be like, okay, you know, maybe we need to put this as a priority. We really have a player that's super interested in this. If you've submitted a proposal to us and have yet to role play anything out with it, we're not as inclined. You know, that's some of the things we look at when it comes to proposals is how dedicated are you to our server? How often are you in our server? How much are you role playing it out? A great example was the, you know, PDM. We had a character which I don't think is with us any longer, but had a character that would show advertisements for PDM. He was selling cars even though the scripts don't allow him to sell cars, but he's totally down there to haggle it out with you and talk to you and try to upcharge you. But that's the fun in role play. So I wanted to emphasize on that. Um, and then, yeah, if Zappy, if you want to have a conversation or if any of you guys want to speak, go ahead and make those requests. I do see one here now, which is Zappy. So we're going to go ahead and give Zappy the floor. And give him a minute because it might take him a second to be able to speak. And again, if you have trouble, like if you see the little green light and you click back out of your server, come back into this server, you should see the ability. Yeah, there we go. All right.
What's up? Okay. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing great and stuff. I just want to speak on behalf of the whole EMS and pillbox situation. I'm being noticing a lot of people coming in back to back every 2 minutes of an injury. I just want to say, please value your life. Please don't mean jumping off of buildings and doing a whole bunch of wacky shit because it's actually getting frustrating. Because every time people keeps coming there, it seems like you're not valuing your life at all. You're not gonna jump off a roof in real life. I'm just saying. It kind of gets a little frustrating. And to the people who keeps ringing the bell over and over and over to be funny, it's not funny. It's really not funny at all. If you come to the pillbox, you just need to ring it maybe once or twice, and we will come to you. Sometimes the EMS team is busy in the back, um, working on a patient, and Nancy's not there, so we're gonna get to you. Our next situation too, actually is not really a problem, but I'm just gonna leave that alone. That's the only thing I really want to talk about, and that's it.
Yeah, I love that. That's the value in your life is super important. You guys are breaking immersion when you don't value your life. Your character should only get one life. And if we need, we don't want to, right? We don't want to script things in that punish you as a player. Like, we don't want to make it cost you money to go to the light. Can we do that? Absolutely. Can we make it cost money for Nancy to treat you? Absolutely. Will we do that? If it becomes more of an issue, we will. But as a whitelisted community, you guys all applied to be a part of this server. You guys know the in and outs of roleplay. Take your injuries seriously. Let them, drag them out a little bit. Give the EMS the opportunity to treat you in a better way. If you guys are seeing pillbox more than once or twice in a day, you might reconsider a little bit. It should be as much as we want to give EMS that role play, it can be super toxic if every 5 seconds, someone is getting injured, whether they be, jumping out in front of local traffic or they're jumping off of extreme heights or, we give you guys parachutes, we give you guys scuba diving equipment, all for a reason, because we want to give you guys the ability to enhance your role play. So utilize those tools and use a little common sense, when you're driving around the city. Slow it down a little bit. Try to stop at those stoplights, even though the police are building. There's going to be a day where we have 20 cops in the server, and they're going to be able to pull you over, and it's going to be just like real life, and there's going to be more repercussions. So um, we don't want to script, like I said, again, we don't want to script those things in there, but we definitely can if it continues to be an issue. But we're not here to punish you as players. We expect high quality, from our role players. And it just seems to be getting a little bit out of hand. And I'm really glad Zappy stepped up to speak to us today. And is there anything else that you'd like to say, Zappy?
Oh yeah, another thing too. If you come at the pillbox to get treated, um, from a doctor or EMT, whatever, um, let us treat you. I kind of get really annoyed when people actually try to, push the RP fast enough to their gain to get out of pillbox. I mean, if you don't want to RP with us, don't injure yourself. It's pretty that simple. It's not rocket science. I really don't like the fact that people comes in pillbox and be like, "Hey, Zappy, I, I'm injured," and then after I'm like, "Okay, well, let me take you in the back." Oh, it's not that bad. I'm just a little scraped up. You know what? Sometimes I don't even argue the fact about it. I just leave it alone, and I just treat you guys. But it's really let us do the RP. It's fun. I'm not gonna bore you. I always try to keep the RP in when I'm doing surgery with people to the minimum because I know people have things to do, and I know some people don't really like to stay at pillbox a lot, which I understand. But don't be rushing the RP when it comes to oh God.
Yeah, if they
Uh,
say take your mask
uh,
off. Sorry, go ahead, Zappy.
yeah, yeah, like even to the mask situation. If you take your mask off, please take your mask off. Like I'm begging you.
Yeah,
I'm
take your
not.
shirt off, take your pants off,
Yeah,
whatever you have to do. That enhances their role play. That allows them to advance it. And you've ever been treated by me, definitely have. I usually try to go above and beyond, not with all my patients, but I always, I'll give you IVs. I'll, put stitches in. I'll remove glass from your arms. Let them have that role play because it is fun for you.
Yeah.
And the more that you let them have that role play, the more they get comfortable in what they're doing, and the more that they can branch out and allow you guys to have more fun with it.
Yeah, and I got a lot of good doctors like Lilith, and I got an upcoming EMS team. And especially if you guys find that we're having a lack of EMS team, please put in an application if you want to be an EMS. I always read the applications. I'm trying to hire people that, fast enough to my ability. This is my first time running up. All right. I know a couple of things from Hayes, because he used to do it in other city, and I'm just kind of tweaking things from and learning from him. But if you guys feel like the EMS team is low, just put in your application, and we will be right at it. Anyway, I'm done for the day.
All right, we appreciate you, Zap. I think you can go back to audience, move back to your audience.
We had a couple questions. There was a question about a monthly update on where potential business owners stand in the queue for business proposals. Um, if we want to touch on that, I think we kind of covered it a little bit, but basically, I mean, we're having to prioritize tasks on what our devs work on, and a lot of the issues that we have in front of us right now are pretty critical things that we're taking care of for you all. And so a lot of these business proposals, while we love them and we love seeing them, we definitely want people to submit proposals. Um, we also have to be realistic about the amount of time that it takes to get some of these things implemented. So w- just bear with us. We are really trying to get through everything as quickly as we can. But some of this stuff is going to take time. And we have several business proposals that are in, um, and we're going to have to go through them based on priority in terms of how we think they add value to the city. And then also just in terms of overall tediousness and difficulty of getting some of those scripts into the city, for those businesses to fully function.
Absolutely. And I think that, as time goes on, we're already gearing up to be more transparent with you guys. We're going to work on some things in the future to help us help you guys keep in touch with what we're doing. We're going to make strives. We haven't really discussed or made set in stone what exactly we're going to do, but there are ideas in the air about how we can let you guys be, a part of what we're doing. Let you see what devs are working on. That's in a non-meta fashion. It just takes a little bit of time for us. Like I said, the server was built kind of overnight, and as we grow and as we get better, we'll be able to have more of those things that you're seeking. Definitely.
There's another question about a balance of salaries. For example, a lawyer should be a coveted position, but should make a lot more money than, say, a pizza delivery driver. And yes, that is correct. That's something that we talk about quite frequently as staff, with our developers. And obviously, our economy is moving and flowing, and things change all the time, right? With how much money people are making in certain jobs. We've had to make several adjustments over the course of the server life to make things fair and balanced. The issue with, giving some jobs more money is that those jobs, yeah, while they are coveted, there's not going to be as many people in them. There's the question of fairness, right? So I think there's kind of like a mentality that things should be pretty fair and level playing field so that people make pretty fair salaries. Because we do get complaints if certain jobs are not making as much money as others. I mean, realistically, you would think that something that's more blue collar would make less money than something that was a whitelisted job. And while we do have those features in the game, in the city, um, we still get complaints about those things. So it's a balance. It's definitely something that we're looking at. We're actively monitoring the overall economy of the city, um, and we do have everyone's best interests at heart whenever we decide, salaries and things like that. So just so you're aware, it's something that we look at all the time.
Okay, and then last thing from the chat, and I'm going to give the floor to our next person who has requested to speak. Um, any update on when car mods will make a bigger difference? So Chuck really went into depth on that. It is something we are actively looking at. One of our priorities on our list is to get you guys some car imports. We have definitely heard how much you guys want car imports. And I'll tell you now why we have held off on car imports. The whole idea of this city is to put value on things normal cities would not put value on. When you have a nice car, I know that you didn't mean importing cars, but I'm going to go ahead and alliterate with this. God, I can't even talk. I'm going to talk about this for a little bit. So, what we want to be importing are cars that are going to be possibly limited in quantity, or they're um, imported for their rarity. So when you guys have one of these imported cars, it's going to mean something to you. You're going to be able to show it off to the city. You're going to be able to rep that car and be proud of it. Because if every single person has a super high dollar fancy Ferrari or Lambo, they're not going to you're not going to value it. No one's going to, everyone has one. So why should it be any special to you? So we want to bring in some imports that are meaningful to the community, but also give you guys some value for those things, to make them one of a kind that you guys have, that only you as your character has in the city, or maybe only you and 3 other people have in the city. So that is kind of where our import game is. That is one of our next priorities. I'm going to let Big speak on the mods, since he said he can speak a little bit more on it. Of course, I'm not a developer, so let's let Biggs take the floor on the mods.
Yeah, so Chuck kind of alluded to it a little bit when he was talking, but we spent a lot of time looking at the mod stuff, and we determined what's going on, and effectively the handling model that we're using for cars right now to make cars a little bit more realistic is also hampering how effective the mods are. And the problem is, if we want to keep the handling mod and also buff the car mods themselves, we have to go through this file and update every single car, because every single car has the mods defined separately, because some cars have different mods, a different amount of transmissions or no transmission at all, or suspension and yada yada. So anyway, it's a big task to update every single car to get the mods working. So it may be something to where we focus on certain cars. You know, the popular cars, get the mods more beefed up for those ones that are more likely to have upgrades anyway. Maybe we don't focus on, like the Panta, but we focus on some of the more popular racing cars, or we change how much the mods cost to make them a little bit more realistic in terms of what you're actually getting. Um, Probably somewhere in between. We do want to make some tweaks to how the pricing works. Right now, the pricing is pretty rudimentary. It just takes there's a value set for each type of class of car. So, sport car, for example, and let's say it's like 100,000, and then the price for every mod is based off of a percentage of that class price. And so, a lot of the times, that class price doesn't actually represent how much the car costs itself, and so the prices seem really, really high. And so, one of the things that I think we're going to work towards getting it is to where it's the percentage of the actual car price, not the car class price. So it makes more sense per car. It's more dynamic per car. Anyway, there's definitely some stuff. It's just one of those things where it's not like an easy thing where we can just apply like a quick percentage modifier on all cars immediately and it's fixed. It's another one of those things where we need to go through and spend some time on it, and we might have to do some finagling to, or only do some cars sort of thing to get it, at least get something out there. But it's definitely on our minds and something we want to address.
Awesome. All right. We're going to move forward now with some more requests to speak. The next person up is Chief Max Justice, who runs our LSPD, or Spinuncle as we know him. So I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to him. Again, if you have problems, Chief, just click out of your New Era Discord into another and then come back, and you should be able to see the option to speak. I think he left and came back. Shoot.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and request it again, and I'll approve you real quick.
So don't actually leave the server, Speduncle. Like don't disconnect from voice. Just on the left side of your Discord, just click into any other Discord server, just so it displays, and then just tab back to the New Era server,
And then
and
you'll
it shows up as a green banner on the top.
There we go.
Okay. Hello. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of points about the DOJ. Essentially, Max is a character, and even though he does get a little feisty and upsetty spaghetti, that is definitely not going to stop me from helping anybody out with the DOJ stuff. So if you guys have problems with the police, with Max, with anything at all, you're way more than welcome to schedule a meeting with Max. He will take it upon himself to make sure that you're properly represented. You might even be given a trial. Those types of role plays are what's going to propel the DOJ into existence. It's just a matter of letting you guys know that it is totally acceptable for you to. I mean, I hear a lot of people say that they don't feel like they can approach the situation without like this set of rules, but it's something that we're willing to work with you guys with, and we really want to see that role play come out. So I really, really, really encourage you guys to use those role play channels, such as the just calling Max, letting him know you want to do like a trial or something, and he'll help you get that set up. The other thing I wanted to talk about was tasing. Um, There are lots and lots of ways to react to tasing. One of the best ways to do it is to be shocked. And if your character doesn't have any sort of motivating factors that would keep them going, remember that being tased really does hurt, really locks up your muscles. It makes it really hard to move afterwards. The police, we don't want to walk up and just slap cuffs on you, but a lot of the time we have to, just because otherwise it's just kind of like a gameplay thing. It just feels like people just always get up and run, or there are lots of instances where it is okay and expected. Like for instance, Cooter, his Satan character is crazy. So when I tase him, I really expect him to get up and beat us with wrenches or knives or fire. And that's okay. I think that there's a lot of instances where it's okay, but just remember that being tased sucks. And if you want to continue that role play, we definitely don't have to just walk up and slap cups on you, and then that's it. We're trying to move in that direction as the department. It's definitely a process. I welcome everybody to very much. If you want to apply for the police, we have a lot of positions. If you definitely won't be singled out and repressed for having a character that the police seem to hate. If your other character comes in, it's a revolving door. I don't ever look at people's other characters. I don't take personal feelings into it. You will be welcome, and we will train you. And also, one last thing, we have lots and lots of suggestion forums. If you guys ever do have an IC problem or an OOC problem, those forums are there in the application section and in the IC information area. And if you have a problem with Max or any of the other high command, those and it's an OOC problem, those are able to be viewed by the staff here. So it's definitely a system that is designed to help people feel like they have a voice without it being just a ticket issue all the time. And that's all I wanted to say.
No, it's awesome. And I do want to take a second to recognize Speduncle and all the achievements he's had. Just forming the police department as I've went through training myself. Just the extensiveness of all the documentation that he's really put together is amazing. And to know that Max Justice is one of our highest played characters in the city. He really has put the effort in to be a part of the city as much as he can be, even when he was alone on the department. So as our PD develops, it's going to get a lot easier for him, and it's going to be great for our criminals to have different types of cops coming in. And yeah, don't be afraid to make abstract characters. They're very, like Max Justice is a really unique character. But also, it's totally okay to have those characters that are going to be hard cops. They're set in stone with busting the criminals, and they do things by the book, and that's totally okay too. You don't have to always be an abstract one. You can obviously have some unique characters as well.
Absolutely. Oh, I wanted to add one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
We are opening up 2 departments soon. It'll be Blaine County Sheriff's Department and Paleto Bay Police Department. I'm gonna force those open by pure roleplay. The admins don't know about it yet. So basically, if you want, get involved in the voting. There's a couple of people running for sheriff, Johnny Houston and Andrew Smith, as currently. And also, we will be having, maybe one of those guys would go up to Paleto Bay. It just really depends on staffing. And if you guys want to join police, we're way better than every other job.
Can confirm that is true.
Awesome. We appreciate you, Chief, for real.
Thank you. That's all.
All
Schmidt-
right.
Schmidt for sheriff. Schmidt, not Schmidt.
All right. Well, go ahead and let me look at the community meeting chat. See. All right, looks good. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with the next person. This is Billy Norris, and he'll be taking the floor. I'm going to go ahead and approve him. We'll get him going. All right. We're having some trouble hearing you.
All right, how about now?
All right, yeah.
Super. I love it when it just, defaults to nothing. Perfect. Love it, Discord. Yeah, okay, so I play probably one of several other rednecks in the city. I enjoy every interaction I have with anybody here. I just want to get that out of the way. I have just like a couple of kind of general questions, and if you can answer them, that's great. If not, that's great as well. Like my first one would be, how, like when you guys were opening the city, how far away are you from where you thought you would be by this point in terms of what you wanted to have in the city so far?
I think that that's a super tough question to answer simply because I think that this is going to be an ever growing thing. I don't think that there ever is going to come a time where we want to stop developing for the city or incorporating new things, because we want to kind of compete with everyone else. We want to stay relevant. We want to stay current with what the player base wants. We want to obviously stay on top of new implements that people put out or new DLC or updates. So yeah, I mean, I guess we definitely. I guess I wouldn't be the one to answer this. A developer probably would. In my personal opinion, I feel like we've made a lot of leeway. Our city has only been open. I think it was 52 days yesterday, so 53 days marks today. I think that we've been able to make a lot of strides, in the direction that we want for the foundation of our city. And when it comes to incorporating new things, having a way to build off of that. So are we exactly where we wanted to be? Probably not. But I do think that we've made a lot of leeway, a lot of headway into where we actually do want to be. But yeah, I think maybe Biggs or Chuck would be able to kind of chime in on this more if they're feeling like they are where that they wanted to be.
Yeah. The thing is, when a big focus was to open and kind of steer the server in the direction that it seemed like the community wanted to go, given it was in line with kind of our vision for the server in terms of real RP and storyline RP and nothing GTA online esque. So we didn't prescribe very specific roadmap before we launched. Other than we wanted to get systems online that we felt were necessary and required, and a lot of it's we spent I would say we spent more time than I would have expected kind of uh being reactionary to things, and a lot of it's impossible. I've been in software development for over a decade now professionally, and you can never anticipate how many bugs they're going to be and how much time it's going to take. They're called unknown unknowns, and they always bite you. And so we've definitely been feeling that for sure. But I also feel like we've done a lot. And I'm definitely not disappointed with how much we've been able to get done so far.
Um, One thing I'll add to that as well. I think one of the really interesting things that we've been doing is building amazing systems as we go through and rebuild stuff. So, if you've done a job and it's very unlikely that you've played something that we haven't rewritten or improved somehow. But a lot of the improvements are giving us a foundation that we can then go and scale. So if you've done, let's say, the pizza job, for example, well, if we wanted to, let's say we wanted to add another pizza delivery company, we can do that without really much thought or a huge amount of dev work. So a lot of the rewrites and changes, even if the job has remained mostly the same, there's still large improvements to the underlying system. One of the things that I don't think has been talked about too much today is the mechanics job in particular. The magic that Eric put into the mechanic job is so freaking cool from a technical standpoint. The fact that that can be basically an unlimited number of businesses that are all considered mechanic shops, with how that works is so, I think, super cool and can be translated to so many other parts of the city. And he basically wrote that system um, and built it for us. And so there is so much cool stuff behind the scenes that Eric has built, that I've been working on, and that Micro's been working on. That I think once we're ready to start flipping switches, Eric kind of alluded to it. Like once some of this stuff starts to be built up, you're going to see a large number of new things in a relatively short amount of time.
All right, thank you. I mean, that sounds great, and I definitely understand where you guys come from as far as bug fixes and all that goes. So we appreciate your work for sure. I have two more questions if I can ask them.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I'm sure everybody in the chat in the city can agree with me on this. We would all like tattoos, and I understand that you would want us to RP out a tattoo business, but that's extremely hard to do when you can't actually tattoo anybody. In order to, you know what I mean, in order to put in the paperwork to get a business going. So
Absolutely.
how do we get around that? Uh, since it's something that everybody wants.
Yeah. So I can chime in a little bit on this. So when tattoos are pretty something that we could probably implement. That's like an already scripted thing that we could do as long as it obviously doesn't cause problems. We could try to implement it as quick as we could. It was just something. So like when we started the city, that's something that fell through the cracks. To be honest, I actually wore tattoos on my character and I didn't even think about it. So it just something that wasn't already on the base server that we bought. And it wasn't implemented. And we don't expect you guys to go in and buy a full blown business. We actually have plans on how to open up some of these businesses for all players to use that aren't technically player owned, quote unquote. So that's just a matter of us getting together and trying to sort out the tattoos and figure out how we want to implement them and get some of these shops opened up. It shouldn't really be too much of a hassle. I obviously can't speak for our developers. I know that they're working on some major projects, but yeah, we can definitely take some time and list that out and see what we can implement for an easy fix overall.
Yeah, we can. Tattoos is something that we've talked about a couple times, and um, since it's a visual thing, and it's definitely something that helps with RP, and there's a business aspect to it. We just haven't prioritized it, but it's something that we could relatively quickly get in. As far as just tattoo shops that people can visit, kind of like a clothing shop. As far as a player-owned business, that's something else that we can um, cross that bridge if that's something that people are specifically interested in. But as far as tattoo shops that people can just go to get a tattoo on their character, that's definitely not obscene amount of work.
I'm sure everybody would love you for it, including myself. My third question would be like future kind of criminal activities. Like car boosting, like scratching VINs, any of that. I'm assuming would be down the road. But have you guys thought about anything like that?
Yeah, we've definitely put some fair share of creative ideas out there for criminal activities. We have ideas for gangs. We have some ideas for a fully operating Department of Corrections. And I know that that doesn't really speak much to the criminal side. I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, one of our major projects that we're working on right now is criminal oriented. So we have absolutely thought about some of those things and how we want to incorporate them, whether it be scratching bins or making fake plates or doing things like that. So yeah, the criminal life we really do want to enhance and bring you guys something different to the table. Just getting our foundation in order before we start flipping on these switches is really most important to us.
Yeah, and not to go into too much detail, but one of the things I've been working the past couple weeks is very much future criminal stuff oriented. It's it kind of started as something for a specific activity, but it has the stuff I'm building out for it has uh, implications for the criminal life as a whole, and so we're definitely working towards that actively.
All right. Well, that's all I had. Just want to say we appreciate you. Don't think that we don't. And thanks for taking my questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I do want to say too, there has been some hiccups, throughout the process. I think that the owners of the mechanic shops that were most recently purchased know that. We actually had some one-on-one conversations with that. Um, but even with all of us, all hands on deck, trying to make sure that we lift every stone and we look at every aspect of the city, things still fall through the cracks. There was some things in the city that shouldn't have been in the city, or things that shouldn't have been available for purchase that were available for purchase, and we're doing our best to work around those. We obviously don't want to take anything away from your character stories, and we're doing our best to work around those hiccups and move forward with our plans. And of course, not everything is always going to work the way we want it to, but yeah, we definitely are still working towards that. All right, so next up is Xena. I'm going to go ahead and approve her, get her started.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's Xenia, thanks. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
No, I'm messing with you. I just want to say, I know that we're kind of the new ones in the town. We love it. We love you guys, everything. I wanted to just kind of put forth, Zappy kind of inspired me to say this. As kind of the self-proclaimed owner of the unicorn, I just want to say thank you for everybody like jumping on board, helping me with that. People offering to be investors, just everything like this playing out. What I wanted to add to that was the whole direction and goal was to get people away from role playing the pillbox like a coffee shop. So I just wanted to say, thank you for everybody that comes out. I just wanted to also add too, for immersion, no, I'm not always there. The girls aren't always there to dance. You know, the bartender's not always there to pour you drinks, but feel free. You know, it's open. You know, if you're there before, you know, 8 p.m. hurricane, maybe the dancers aren't on yet. You can go up to the bar and role play somebody pouring you a drink or anything like that. Like, in other words, by all means, please go in there, utilize it, use it as a meeting ground. You know, I love the respect that Z is getting, and I love the interactions that are going on there. And I just want to put that blast out that even if I'm not there, which let's face it, 9 times out of 10 I am, but if I'm not there, just go ahead and you know, take it away from Pillbox, so that way Pillbox can be used for hospital stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it completely makes sense. I think there is a sense of realism that we are seeking. You know, role play is creative in itself. You know, you can be anything you want to be. But we do want to have a sense of respect for our departments like LSPD and EMS. And in order to do that, they have to be their jobs, you know. I think the same can be said for any business that's owned in the city. You know, if you do own a business in the city, you know, treat it with respect and know that that's your job, and at the end of the day you want to work it and do those things, and like she said, you know, you're more than welcome to utilize those entities while people are away and still role play it out. But yeah, to having a little bit of sense of realistic realism in there too is not always a bad thing. It helps us develop a much needed department in those aspects. You know, people who do want to take their job seriously, and then also create a good environment for the people who want to, you know, have a creative, laughable character as well.
Yeah, honestly, everybody's been amazing and supportive. And, you know, Zinni is not a business person at all. And she's trying to go in, and people are amazing, like throwing their wisdom. And we're role playing out this amazing storyline. And everybody has been really good. I mean, keep that up by all means. I mean, go in, use the unicorn. If you are going into a strip club, no, you're not going to be able to go into the employees only area or dance on the stage or anything like that. But by all means, have a meeting in a corner. How, you know, do whatever you got to do. But it's always open. So you know, the pilsner or whatever it is always on tap. So just thank you everybody too that tips the girls, tips the guys, you know, just everything like that. Yeah, it's been awesome, so thank you.
Awesome. We appreciate you speaking. All right, let's check on community meeting.
I haven't seen any other questions come in.
Awesome, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, Marsh Royal. I'm jacking up your names. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna approve you to talk and shut the hell up. Oh wow, he was quick.
Hi, I'm Marsh Royal. Everyone probably knows me in that. Yeah, I have two questions. One of them is in the New Era RP, I've seen the NOS or nitrous oxide system in that. Is it already implemented into it, or is it still a development going on still?
So the logic and the NOS item is all there. I think I've needed to have a discussion on how the players obtain that. That's kind of where we're at, but we don't really have any more work to do on the development side. It's more of figuring out how it should be integrated into the city.
Thank you. And my second question is with the mechanic and that where you end up you know, with the whole money system and that would it be a possibility to end up, you know, doing it through online the bank and that, so instead of, you know, like you build a person but you end up getting the money out to end up getting the parts.
Yeah, there's. Oh, go ahead,
So
Apples.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, we have thought about that. But yeah, you guys go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, we we worked a lot with the first mechanics crew, and that was one of the things they brought up as well, is that we need to. There's definitely a lot of improvement to be done with the interaction between the mechanic and the person doing a service or getting customizations. There's been talks about, and something that I would personally like to work towards, is having almost like a ticket system, in that they kind of, or like a bill system, in terms of they build out what they want, and then you give them the bill of like all the customizations or upgrades you've done or any repair work you've done, and they pay that based off that, and it never comes out of your account. They just pay it, and the percentage would go to the shop, and percentage would go to the actual mechanic, as defined by the owner of the shop, and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, we definitely want to improve that interaction, because we know it's a pain point right now.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it is a kind of a bit of a pain, and just working on the cards, and then billing them, and just going, okay, I have to go to the bank to end up doing it. And yeah, thank you very much. And I love this server, and that is amazing. And that first time doing RP, and that I thought I would end up doing a bit bad, and that, but thank you to all of you guys and the audience, and that you've helped me end up become more immersive into it, but not too immersive that on the differences on the characters of
Awesome.
me and my character.
One thing
I
I
love
want
that.
to Sorry, one thing I want to add really quick about the billing thing is we built it's pretty rudimentary, but kind of starting to lay the foundation of how that billing system might work. And the example of that is with how the taxi company is running right now. So the taxi company is sort of the first implementation of a taxi driver can invoice a customer. When that invoice gets paid, part of it goes to the driver, and the other part goes into the company account. So some of the improvements that Micro's been working on the phone will make it easier down the road when we want to add like a proper invoicing app to the phone. We got to fix the phone first because it's a steamy
Yeah.
pile.
Had an issue with that, with the phones, with multiple texts, but that's all I wanted to end up asking, and thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing too, I want to chime in about the mechanic shops. I know that a lot of you guys do recycling runs and stuff like that in order to supply your guys's materials that are needed, and that is something else that we're looking into. We're very aware that it can be time consuming and kind of defeats the purpose of you also having to do these alternate jobs in order to do your job. So there is talk and there is plans in order to make that easier for you guys, and to help the city overall in that aspect, and also maybe bring in a new job for you guys. So that'll be awesome as well.
Yep, thank you very much, and that, and yeah, that's all.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Marsh.
Thank you.
All right. We have Gracie Cotton up next. And before they go forward, I will address the real estate issue that you were talking about, Stephen. So I will get there in just a few minutes.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for all the hard work that you've been putting in. I've never done GTA RP before. I've done some other stuff before, and it's really nice to see like a proactive team, and like I like that you guys do work really well as a team, and the fact that you are willing to kind of listen to the community, because I think that overall builds for a better environment for everyone. There is kind of one question. It's something that I've experienced myself, and I think it's just unfortunate. Obviously, as you can hear from my voice, I'm from the UK, and sometimes time zone has been a big issue for me. like when I've needed to ask a question in line or in character, or I've needed help on character, and like there's maybe 2 people on the server, myself being one of them, and sometimes it can be a bit difficult to kind of ask people questions like if you've got to go somewhere in real life and you know the person's going to be on soon, but you can't hang around any longer. Um, and like in my case, unfortunately, my playtime has to be a bit sporadic because of real life stuff. Like, is there any plans for a way for us to like, have a message board or just sort of somewhere that some system that we can contact people when leave them a message or something like that,
So I know that there is a few there's going to be notes and some things that we want to implement in that form that would
Mhm.
be able to be that. You obviously as well to leave text messages and stuff like that. If it's something that you truly are having trouble with, feel free, since your time zone, we really do want to grow the city to eventually one day, there's a whole day crew of people. And it seems like we're already getting to that aspect. We're seeing more often in those early
Mhm.
hours, we're seeing 9, 10, 12 players coming in. And as we have more players, that'll obviously help us grow. The more that they see people in our city, the more that they're going to be apt to jump in themselves. But with that, if it's something that you truly need help with, feel free to make a ticket. We're not big bad wolves. We're going to do our part, and especially if you just explain to us your situation,
Mhm.
how you want to find out these things in character, but you're struggling in maybe one aspect or another. We'll do our best to help you in character form or out of character form. We're going to try to do that. But there is going to be some more implementations of like notes, like I said, and there's a thing that Biggs had brought up, which is something I think I've only really seen in NoPixel, which is like putting like wanted signs or lost puppy signs on the walls that you'd be able to go by and just see. So there is different ways that we want to keep up. There was also talk of a city newspaper, stuff like that. Again, we don't want to make huge promises to you guys about things that we're going to bring because we don't want to fall on our promises. But yeah, there is definitely talk of how we can keep the message out there and get you guys more informed about what's going on, even in character.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the difference myself over the last kind of week or so, of the amount of players that are on, like, because a lot of the time I get more time to play during kind of my afternoons, which is like the early hours for you guys,
Right.
for a lot of you guys. Um, and it is nice to see more players online. It was just something that I'd wondered, but thank you very much for your time
Yeah,
and
absolutely. I'm sorry I
answering.
couldn't answer it. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't answer
No,
it
it's
more
okay.
thoroughly, but yeah, there is things that we want to implement, and like I
Mhm.
said, feel free to use that feedback or use those tickets. The tickets are going to get a more immediate response from us, and and we know your situation now, so we'd be more than willing to help you out in any way that we can, in means that aren't meta or breaking character for anybody else. We obviously don't. The way the city is designed, it is kind of for somebody who is a seasoned role player, but that doesn't mean that new role players can't come in and learn how to do things. So if it comes to
Mhm.
game mechanics, things like that, feel free to ask or use the questions or make those tickets for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well,
And to
thank you.
kind of piggyback off of that really quickly, we kind of touched on it in the questions channel a few days ago. But if you ever have any questions and you're unsure about whether or not it is an out of character question or an in character question, if you're worried that it might be meta, if you're not sure, um, please open a ticket and ask us. We are more than willing to help you out, answer any questions. And it's a safer place to do those kinds of things to kind of
Mhm.
tread those lines than asking in the questions channel or even in Hangout. Because if you don't know and you end up saying something that could be considered meta or whatever, then it could potentially um, ruin an experience for someone in city. So
Yeah.
that's a broad overarching thing for everyone. If you have any questions and you're unsure, please just open a ticket for us because we love hearing from you all. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys.
And we appreciate you. So let's touch on the real estate before it gets too deep into the thing. So the things he obviously, I kind of get the gist of what he's trying to say. Let me see if I can scroll up here. Yep. Okay. So it seems like we've had some people who are really interested in real estate, which is completely understandable. Everybody wants their house. The first things I'll say about real estate is one of those jobs that, Stephen was actually made very aware that he was going to have to work kind of hand in hand with us as staff because it is such a huge money sink and a economy balance for us. So when you're trying to get those deals, that is all RP, haggle your way, try to get those things. Um, there's been a few select times he felt like there was some OOC bleed over. Like getting frustrated with him as a realtor because he is just trying to do his job to what we expect as a standard. We do have certain stipulations that he can't have much leeway when it comes to cutting deals or making huge, cuts in how much something will cost, or if it's something unrealistic, you're not going to fit a circle into, you're not going to fit a square into a circle. So if your house is too big, it's obviously the interiors that you're limited to are the interiors you're limited to because it's a realistic sense. Same for if you're wanting, you know, um, a random garage to be made into a house or this random door on this building. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. We are looking into making some advancements in that, like bringing in some more layouts for you guys, whether that be some garages or some warehouses or stuff like that. We are going to try to look into some of that stuff. Obviously, nothing's set in stone there, but those are things that we are looking to improve. But overall, he does have a job. Keep it in character. He'll haggle and he'll cut you some deals as much as he can. Um, but yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, just don't let it bleed OOC. Don't take it out on him because a lot of what he does, he has to abide by what policies we've set in place for him. So there's that. And looks like we have Lilith up next for speaking vocally. So I'm going to go ahead and prove her and get her rolling. Once you guys get approved too, I don't know if we said this already, but you'll have, like, if you don't see it, obviously swap out of that screen, go back into your screen. You don't have to actually leave the chat. And then there should be something at the bottom that allows you to move to speaker. Awesome.
Hey, so I pretty much remembered this when Z was talking about you wouldn't go into the back rooms of the VU, right? Because you don't work there. You would get in trouble any other time. There's a lot of people that have been going to the rooftop of Pillbox and just going to the back from the lobby who aren't getting treated. And I know we can't lock those specific doors, but in any other hospital, you wait in the lobby until it is time for you to be seen. And you wait in the lobby until a doctor tells you that you can come back to see your friend. And so I would really appreciate it if people stopped going up into the roof because they have to be rescued, and if they just stopped roaming the hospital freely if they're not being treated.
Yeah, just respecting that in a realistic sense. It's a real living, breathing business, and we want to have a sense of realism with those jobs. So respecting those boundaries that they've set for you is a good way, to respect them as a EMS, and respecting all jobs in that sense too.
Yeah, we had an issue that, that somebody said that there wasn't a do not enter sign on it, but like that's not something we can help really. But that's all I wanted to touch on, so yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Lilith. We appreciate you.
Just to touch on that a little bit too. A lot of these things like you said, we can't like force people not to do stuff sometimes. So the best thing that we can do is kind of cultivate a culture of doing or of respecting that serious RP. And if there's cases where people are constantly breaking that serious RP, feel free to report. those issues to us and tickets. We do take that stuff seriously, and we want to enforce serious RP. And if there's any failed RP, big or relatively small, we want to hear about it, because the more we hear about it, the more we can kind of formulate, where problems are happening.
Yeah, and it doesn't always lead to a punishment. A lot of times you'll have a conversation with us. You'll come and sit down and we'll explain to you what we see, and then we'll, talk about how we can be better as players overall. We'll help you get over those humps, and there are things, that we just can't script in. And we do, encourage you to take RP avenues. If you're continuously having problems with players, call the police, and I know that sounds petty, but like, that they're gonna do their justice and try to, hear you out and take those calls seriously, and they're gonna do their part to be that department for you guys. And if you can RP it out, try to. But if not, feel free to submit a ticket. The more we can't, we have eyes and ears in the city. Obviously, we have players that play, and they help us get a lot of feedback. But it's really important for us to have feedback from all of you, as well, because we want to be unbiased and we want to know how our community is feeling, how their experience has been. And we want to find a happy balance with that serious role play and the goofy, like I said earlier. So yeah, definitely. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with another one. Just in the community meeting, I see Dixie brought up touching for the RP mechanics. I think that's super important to remember. It's for everyone, for cops and everybody. Same for if you're giving rides. I think another can be said for the taxi company. As people get their own cars, people aren't as apt to use the taxi company. Or same for the mechanics. If you have the ability to impound a car, you're probably just going to use the impound, but you're taking away that role play from someone else. If you're giving free rides to people, you're taking that role play away from someone else. So make sure you guys are trying to use those businesses. It's obviously not a requirement. You whatever your preference is your preference. We're not here to police your role play. But just remember that those entities and those jobs are there for you to use, and we would love to see you guys utilizing that stuff for your role play. And you're going to create great scenes with that. You never know what scene is going to come from taking that taxi cab ride or getting your car fixed at the mechanic shop instead of using the garage as an exploit, which is an exploit, mind all of you. If you're using the garage, that is something that the game mechanic does for you. But those are things that we want to fix and that we want to, create for the mechanics to have that role play. You should take your car to the mechanics. You should, call them for the impounding, stuff like that, and Lord knows there's 10 mechanics on in the city at any given time. So there is more than enough players that are willing to be called upon to come and get that impound. Yeah. And I think the same can be said for doing your job as well. I don't know how many times I've personally called, or I know people who have called a person who's on the services list and they're like, oh, I'm off duty right now. You're milking the check at that point. You're milking that paycheck and you're not there to provide that service to your community. So I think that all ties back into your character, their storylines, being able to follow through with that. Like if that's, if your storyline is not a mechanic, don't be a mechanic. You're not there to milk the clock. Same for the taxi company. If you're not there to give rides and help build that business, don't do that job. Go find what is good for your character storyline and kind of advance it that way. Again, these are not requirements for you guys, but they are something that we see, and we would love to see you guys better, just for the entire of the city. It's going to give everybody that opportunity to role play, and you're going to develop some great relationships along with that. All right, we got John Hayes as our next one. Our police officer. I love watching him. He's so fun to watch.
There we go. What's up, y'all?
Hi.
So I just wanted to pretty much go over two things. If y'all ever have issues with police officers as far as like training and everything like that, I know I've been streaming and I've gotten some some things right in my chat that, hey, I don't think this officer did right or anything like that. Or even in city, if you're dealing with an officer and you don't think that that training is up to par or whatever, please feel free to let me and Andrew know. Right now, I've currently got some things going on with Chief to revamp the training for LSPD, and I'm trying to make it as realistic for you guys as possible, but also not compromising RP. Whether that be teaching officers to let you guys go for certain things, or just certain procedures that we do in everyday life that you guys may interact with us on. We're always here for y'all as well. And the second thing is for the content creation side. We have a lot of amazing content creators here in the city, but I also urge you guys, if you guys want to do a scene with someone, go ahead and message them and talk about it outside and build that relationship. And what I mean by that is an example. If you want to do a scene with EMS, right, and you want to go through like either a major surgery or something like that, talk to them and see what they can do. And, just kind of set out like a basic thing of, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what, I would kind of like to see, and just figure out like a roadmap. Because if you get with the person and you kind of want to know and see where things kind of take you from there, at least you're giving that person the opportunity to role play at that point. And not only that, but you're making some amazing scenes as well for not only the content creators that are here in the city, but also for just regular people that just pop by the hospital.
Yeah, love that. And I think to touch on that a little bit, don't take your problems to their chats either. I think it's important to let them have their streams and leave it to um letting him role play, because at the end of the day, like he can't OOC answer your questions and be role playing at the same time. So we give you all those resources in order to prevent players from having to outreach in those directions to get answers to their questions. They're more than willing. Spit Uncle, I know, Hayes, very wonderful officers, and they're more than willing to listen to you about any complaints and stuff you might have, or anything that you want to see. And I do like you touching base on the kind of reaching out to them OOC. Just make sure that you're leaving non-meta stuff. If you want to ask if they can perform something or if they can do something, if you want to orchestrate a huge scene, I do kind of, I would approve that you guys, reach out to them and just let them know, but make sure you guys aren't staging those things. That is meta, and do your best to make it as natural as possible in that sense, and just letting them know that if you want to permadeath your character, use that /me. Let them know you're flatlining. Let them know that you've got a major artery that's messed up. Let them see that /me, like letting them know. And that's like a nice signal to them to like really take your RP to the next level. Like if they know that you're and you don't even have to perma your character. If you're flatlining, they're going to go to the extent to use that revive, where they're gonna, shock you, and they're gonna take you back for surgery. They're gonna take you back to wherever you need to go to in order to get that role play. So try to utilize as many in-character means as you can. But yeah, don't be afraid to kind of congregate with another player and kind of see what their abilities are and what they're interested in doing with you guys. So awesome, I like it. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on, Hayes?
And don't be afraid to actually interact with us as content creators. I think I've seen it a little bit to where some people are just like, "Oh, you're a content creator. You're on Twitch here. Well, I'm gonna tone it down just a little bit." Like don't be scared to interact with us. We're here to be a part of the city. And honestly, the more rides that you guys take us on, the better content that it creates for us. So don't be scared of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the more that we have content creators come to our city and start streaming, and we'll get those groups, that community of streamers together, and you guys can start helping build your own communities through that, and really getting great content throughout the city. And um, you should always role play as someone's watching you, not just when they're streaming. And leave the GoPro talk to police officers. Don't talk about people's GoPros in the city. Let that remain as something that officers have, because they have their body cams and they're more than acceptable to talk about their body cams. But as for the most part, you as a player wouldn't on an average carry a body cam around with you. That's something that a police officer would have. So keep the stream talk out of it. Provide those content for them. Obviously in non-meta fashions, you don't want to be seeking out those players to create a scene with them just because, because sometimes that can get super toxic, but don't avoid it either. If you know that that person's streaming, that's okay. Feel free to support them. Don't use that information to your gain, but make great content for them as well. Awesome. All right. All right, Hayes, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. All right, I think we got one more. We got Aiden. Aiden's coming in for vocal chat. So if you want to move back to the audience, Hayes, and I will invite the next one to come in.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is it too loud?
No, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Aiden, the awkward Asian immigrant in the city. So yeah, I have a question. I have a couple questions regarding economy actually, because I heard you mention about economies regarding the illegal jobs, like the balancing and stuff. I want to ask about the legal side of things, because right now I'm sure you guys know like the popular activities around town right now for legal guys are fishing,
Mm-hmm.
because we actually don't have that many. Like, let's say I don't want to add to the ever growing mechanic list and I don't want to drive taxi, then all we have left actually for legit business is the garbage truck, the three city hall jobs. And those, first of all, I want to say if there's a chance we can get like a co-op city hall job, because I know, for example, the truck driver or garbage collector, maybe we can have like 2 or 3 people doing it at the same time, but we get paid equally, so it'll be less boring to do. Because I know you say about role playing out the legal jobs, like that. For example, I can actually sit in a tattoo shop and tell people to come and get a tattoo, but the incentive is low because I cannot actually give people actual things. So it's like, for example, I'm selling tacos, but yeah. Uh, so people actually, for if you want to go legal, you just go fishing. So I just kind of want to ask if we can make like the legal job better, or is there like a way to do any other business without? Because you always say like role play out, you don't yet actually have to submit business, but I'm just asking about that side of the.
Yeah. So I know we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but we have like a whole idea when it comes to restaurants in our city, bringing some of those businesses to life in ways that all players can enjoy. When I say role play it out, not that we won't ever bring in those items to enhance your role play, because we will, but for the time being, it really helps if you guys think outside of the box and try to utilize items that maybe aren't exactly what you're looking for. Like for example, for Burger Shot, we don't actually have any burgers. We don't actually have any tacos, right? But you can use other items in the city right now and call them tacos, and no one's going to question you. I promise. They're going to go along with it because they know you're doing what you can with what you got. When it comes to fishing, a lot of times what players end up doing is the meta. And right now, fishing is the meta because it's the easiest to do and people feel like it's the most paid. But to be honest with you, it's just as equal as you running a truck job as it is. It's just technically a little bit faster, I suppose. We do see that the meta is fishing, but again, like people are kind of interacting while they're fishing. So ultimately, we're trying to promote role play over script play. So I do want to see, our jobs being touched. At some point, we are taking a lot of time on criminal stuff because a lot of criminal things are broken right now. as when it comes to like the trucking job, stuff like that, we want to see a revamp, of those as well, maybe bringing in 18 wheelers or something like that to kind of change the game on some of those delivery jobs. We try to incorporate, as you already know, a lot of the delivery jobs, they stock the stores around the city. So we try to get there being a purpose for those jobs. As for co-op, that would be kind of an abstract thought. Like that's something that I've never seen done in any other city. Could it possibly be done? I'm sure that we have amazing developers. I'm sure they could figure out something. But as it being something that would be immediately implemented, that's just not likely. But we do have a ton of plans for making some of these businesses that are dead right now come to life for all players to enjoy and then eventually be taken over. Just like Dante's Hot Dogs, for example, is another good one. He's role playing it out to eventually maybe purchase the hot dog company for himself. And we love to see that. So he's utilizing something we have in city already to create that role play for him. I use myself as an example. I used to run a taco truck. I used to steal a taco truck and then I would get the toasties and I would get these tacos that weren't edible at the time. And I would, role play it out as much as I could. So there is ways for you to role play it out. When it comes to tattoos, that is something that's really hard to try to do if you don't have any substance. But you've got a lot of creative people here. I think they would be willing to go along with those if you just give them the opportunity to. But that being said, I think that tattoos will be on our next priority list. It seems like something that everybody wants. So we can bring that in and then you guys would have more availability to role play that out. Hopefully I touched on a little bit of everything, but yeah, we definitely have ideas to expand our local businesses and our civilian jobs at that, creating more jobs for you guys. Like I said, with the mechanics, we wanted to possibly create a whole new job that would help the mechanics as well. But that would be, another player that does it instead of the mechanics having to go and collect their scrap every day or whatever the case is. Does anybody else want to touch on that one?
Yeah, just want to mention that on the topic of co-op, or just I know like a lot of the city hall jobs are not co-op in the sense that like you get into a truck or some kind of vehicle and you're by yourself.
It's
Um,
it's a little bit on the boring side, I know.
right. And things like fishing are inherently co-op because it's just not something you naturally do with other people, even if they're doing fishing on their like they're both doing fishing. You can do it together. That's another reason why I personally, and I think a lot of us like hunting. It's something that we want to get in sooner rather than later because you can do that with other people as well, kind of like fishing. Definitely want to focus on bringing in part-time jobs or lawful things that you can do as an activity together. 100% because that promotes RP, and that's what we want is RP happening, not being by yourself as much as possible. So for sure.
Yeah, and that's why those job center jobs are limited. There's only 3 of them. But even so, you could role play that out right now. If you wanted to slap, get your buddy together and get to co-op and ride, do 2 runs, with him. You do one and then your buddy does the other, and you guys kind of split the profits or whatever the case is. I mean, there's ways to work around it, and you just have to remember that money is not your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is to have an interaction and to actually build a storyline. And I think that's the most important to remember. But yeah, we do definitely want to give you guys tools in order to enhance your roleplay better.
Okay, thank you. Another thing is about like what can I say, community group, because right now in our in-game we don't have like a group chat or like a, because for example if I want to do underground stuff I have to personally WhatsApp every single one of the potential member, and then WhatsApp sometimes doesn't work. You have to like send messages both way before it works. So is that out of character to have like a group that specialize in like communication within character? I don't know if I don't know how to convey that clearly.
You go ahead, Vic.
It sounds like you're like basically you're saying what we need is what would help with this is having group chats inside of WhatsApp.
Let's
You can
say
actually
yeah
text
yeah
multiple people at the same time instead of having to text them all individually. You can't coordinate stuff via text and the phone.
Yes, or like even like I know other city has like a dark web thing where people
Mm.
can go there to chat about illegal things that you don't do it on Twitter. So it's like an alternate Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
There's definitely some room for improvement in that regard. Some kind of way to communicate as a group on the phone would be good for sure.
Yes.
And
We haven't.
utilize those radios too. You got radios, they can go to all different kinds of channels, set a channel with your group to know that when you come into the city every day, you guys can check and see if anybody's on there. And you can even spread it around the city if you want, to
Yeah.
get more people involved in it.
Yeah, like that. Like if I can. Okay, I kind of understand now. So that will be like a thing to have like a group chat or a place for discussion that's need to be kept on the down low.
Yeah, I would love to see a dark chat come in. Honestly, I was surprised to not see it like set in standard with our phone. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That will be all my questions.
Awesome. I'll start work on Grinder. I'm done with you, Chuck. I'll join it. Zappy, of course you'd join it. All right, looks like we got one more. Adam, I believe, is one to speak. Did we already let you speak? I don't remember, honestly. I think that maybe it was Marsh that I was thinking of. All right.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, just something I don't know if you'd already raised this because I know I mentioned it in the community chat, but having like when going back into the city, having to go back and forth to the station every single time to clock off because it's really annoying. You go on and you're always on duty every time you go in. Is this something that you've looked into?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's just like because if I'm off somewhere else and I wanted to go back in where I was, like if you're at your home or your house or something, you've then got to drive to the station just to like go
Yeah.
off duty, and then it's just really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been brought up before and we've talked about it. Originally it was brought up to have like an app that lets you clock in and out or a command that lets you clock in and out.
Oh, that would be
And
brilliant. You could do it directly from your phone. Yeah.
we're what we landed on where we're at right
Like
now in our thinking.
it's not a problem like going to the station like you start your job, you go to the station. I'm using the police station as an example, but you go there and yeah, you go to the station. That's where you sign in.
Right.
But
Yeah.
having to like if you're all the way across the city, you log in, you come flying all the way across the city. You've then got to go all the way back to the station, or you have to sign into the station every single time or spawn in at the station.
That's kind of where we're landed. We're planning. I think what we're going to plan to do is make it so you can clock out with a command or a phone app, but you can't clock in that way. Because the only worry with that is we want people to go to the station to start their shift, and also it can be exploited, especially for PD if they want to quickly hide their blip. So
That's
that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah,
that's one thing I was asking as well, because like because obviously because then if you want to go on and then you forget that you're on duty, and like criminal activities can then go ahead, and then you've constantly got that criminal. And again, that's something else I wanted to say. How does that work where constantly we've got criminal, if we're off duty, constantly got all the activities coming through like notifications?
Yeah, I'm with you, and we've heard it, and we definitely hear you guys. I think a command or a phone function to clock out but not clock in is probably what we're gonna do, and we'll definitely
Yeah.
definitely look
Yeah,
at that.
that was all I wanted to erase because it was just getting annoying. I'm sure other jobs have got the same situation.
Definitely.
Yes, they definitely do. And it is very frustrating. I completely agree to have to go in and clock off every time. Thankfully, I lived really close to Pillbox, so I could just run up there and clock out really quick. Because a lot of the times, like for immersion purposes, I want to go to sleep at my house. I want to leave the scene. And that's something that I mentioned in the announcements too.
It's something I'd eventually want to do. Obviously, I don't have a house yet, but that's something.
Yeah, or your apartment. Yeah.
But if I wanted to do that, then yeah, that would be something I'd want to do. That would be good to incorporate into it.
Absolutely. And same for like when you're flying out, it's very immersion breaking for your character to just disappear into thin air. So, even walking around the corner or walking down the street or going back to your house or your apartment, that's super immersive ways for you to log out the city. And there's a way you can go to sleep in your bed too. It literally says go to sleep for you. So,
Because
yeah, we love that.
because it's making it not realistic where every single time I'm going into the city, I have to spawn in near the station. And so yeah. That was all I want. That's all I wanted to raise because I'm sure other people have had that issue already.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Adam. We appreciate it. I
Yeah.
think that was a great one to bring up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was it. Thank you.
I can just say, as a developer, I have personally been very annoyed with this, and it has been on my radar to fix for like a month. But it's
Yeah.
it's that or fix a criminal job that just doesn't work. So I agree. Like this would be really nice.
Yeah. And more, and again, if you said the apps, more apps would be brilliant. Like interactive apps, would be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys will be shocked with Micro. She's a freaking wizard when it comes to that. And she has so many amazing ideas that I don't want to give away, but I think that you guys will really love in that aspect and that we'll be incorporating and that being apps being one of them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thanks for that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was all I wanted to ask.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. All right.
Yeah, just to follow up on the phone stuff, just to mention really quick, that's kind of a design philosophy that we want to move towards. We feel really strongly to try to always have stuff that try not to we don't want to rely on commands. We want to have ways to do stuff that isn't command. We want commands to be there for people who want to use them because they're fast, but as much as possible, if someone doesn't want to use commands, we want to make it possible to do everything without ever typing a command. That's kind of our ultimate goal. So making it more immersive. So phone apps or just other in-city ways to do stuff is our eventual goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there is a couple of feedback forms that I want to touch on. We're rounding down. It looks like everybody has gotten to speak who wants to speak. So we appreciate you guys coming forward and saying your guys' piece. Ultimately, we are trying to be as transparent as possible. And we do want to hold more community meetings like this more often. I don't want to set a time frame. Obviously, schedules are really hard, but, when they're needed, we want to have them. And I do feel like this one was overdue. So I appreciate you guys coming in, the ones of you that could make it. And we hope that you guys obviously spread the word. We know that there are some players that aren't here today. If it's necessary, we might have another one pretty soon after this one just to kind of go over the same things. But yeah, so some of the feedbacks that I just got was about the gas and the car damage. I do want to say that those are things that we are looking at with the gas of the vehicles. It's really the garaging script that's doing that for you guys. It doesn't seem to be saving the gas to the vehicles, or it like gives you some random number. So sometimes you pull out your car and it's got like 4% gas in it, so that definitely is something that we're looking into. Same for the car damaging. It's very easy going right now, and the reason that a lot of this was so minor, I should say, was because in the early days of the city we didn't have a mechanic shop opened. We wanted that to all be RP'd out and in character for you guys to purchase your shops. So with that, we realized that some of these mechanisms that were very damaging to the cars or would be super harmful to the player in the early get-go. So you'll be seeing some changes along when it comes to car damage and how much people are taking, maybe even your personal damage as well, like the impact on injuries that you have, stuff like that, impact on cars, which we know that there's this fluke deal, which I maybe has already been corrected, where we were flying out at really low speeds. Like you'd randomly hit a light pole and you get launched out of your vehicle. It seems kind of like hit and miss on whether or not that happens all the time, but that is something that we're also looking into. Let's see, there was another. Let's look here. There was a request. I think I'm like a little bit far back from it. A request for items and props. So some of these are obviously on the back burner, and they even said that in their thing. They said obviously a bottom of the list type of thing, but I would love to see some knickknacks being added for people to buy, like teddy bears, chocolates, roses, snow globes, rings, etc. So we obviously would love to incorporate more items and stuff for you guys to come into the city, be able to purchase that enhance your character. I know that there was a request for more clothing. Um, I will say up front, there is a lot of free things that we don't have that maybe I'll go through and I'll get us a bunch of free items that we can start implementing to the city quickly. But I'm a real stickler on clothes for females. I really like high quality stuff. And I will say that female clothing has been really tough. I spent like $300 in the beginning just getting us the little bit of clothing that we have. So I am super eager to, there's a creator called Creations. He makes some really high quality items that I'm really interested in purchasing for our server. I would also love to see, maybe even some body modifications come in, maybe some thicker females or some better female body layouts. Because I know that women are super ugly. They're not ugly by any means, but they're a little bit manly in some senses of the word. So I would love to see us have stuff that's a little bit more feminine and, craft, clothing wise. There is not a current way to donate to the server at this moment, but that is something that we are trying to get to. We just have, like I said, we keep telling you guys we're trying to get to this stuff because we just have, I mean, if you guys seen the list, if you guys seen the list of things that we're working on, it's extensive, and we want, we're trying to prioritize as much as we can on what things that we absolutely need to implement into the city right. We don't want to implement into the city right yet. Maybe we have plans for it in the past or in the future. I mean, in the future. So, uh, great. I'm going to be quoted for calling women ugly. I'm so sorry. You guys are all beautiful. Let me not iterate. Just the characters are like a little, they could be so much better. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, definitely want to see some more creative ways for us to customize our characters. I love that. Trying to think of what else was super. Some of these things I obviously won't speak about because they're meta. Some people don't know about these issues, but we do take into consideration all of your guys' feedback forms, and I really love how in depth you guys go a lot about things that you think that we could implement. And to touch on that, I'm very aware that some of these people in this server right now have some development experience, and you guys know what you're doing. And I know some of you have worked on cities before, some of you that we know as, personal levels, we know some of you as our friends. I hope that you guys reach out. We're creating a really great system for developers to work in. We're trying to create a healthy environment, something that's not overwhelming to work on. And the more hands that we have, we obviously don't want too many hands in the pot, but I know that there's a few people in this chat right now that we would be happy to have as part of our team. So if you're interested in development, even if it's minor stuff, even if you just want to work on car handling, or you just want to work on these miscellaneous like small things that Chuck and Biggs haven't had the chance to get to, or Micro, she's in her huge projects with a phone in the banks, we can get you some projects to work on, and that will really help us out. So if you're interested, or you maybe are considering it, please feel free. You don't have to fill out the staff portion of the app. Just give us a little bit about your experience as a developer, or you can even create a ticket and let us know that you're interested in working with us. And I think Biggs and Chuck are honestly amazing people all around. They're great guys. They're great to work with. And I think that they would be wonderful to even learn from and be able to help you develop your dev abilities more. So we are still looking to build our team. Same with staff as well. We're getting ready to move forward some applications, but I don't have that many to look through. So if you're a part of our community and you want to be a part of our team, we're not going to say that we're going to approve every single app that comes in, because a lot goes into who we consider for these positions. But we're definitely growing our team, and we're excited to do that. And we're in the way to be able to do that.
Yeah, and just as a testament, like if you have development experience professionally or just in game design or game server stuff like with GTRP, the things that Eric has built make development amazing. Like I don't know how to say it enough. Like he has made this process so streamlined, and like the entire development pipeline is automated, and like it is so amazing. And he's got Docker set up for local servers for quick dev and iteration. It really is amazing the things that he's put together, and he spent I don't even know how many hours putting that stuff together just to make our lives easier, to be able to help New Era. So if you have professional development experience or have done this just on the side as a hobby or whatever, um, like the pipeline to build is like top notch. Like he really like I don't know how to like compliment Eric enough. Like it is just amazing and the gold standard. Like you won't find this on other projects. It really is amazing, Eric.
Yeah, he's a god. We're so
He
lucky,
is.
honestly. It was such a fluke deal for us to all come together, and yeah, I'm forever grateful to have both Chuck and Biggs and Micro, all working to create a city that we want to be a part of, and it's been wonderful.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are too kind, and I appreciate you guys being hype men and women. I also want to say that I appreciate everybody else, everybody who plays on the server, just for their patience. I know there's a lot of pain points right now, and I appreciate you guys understanding in that. And so anyway, thank you.
All right. Well, it seems we've kind of come to a conclusion. Miracles never cease. I really thought this was gonna. I mean, it did kind of go for 3 hours. I was like, it was about 3 to 4 hours is a usually good time frame for community meetings. But yeah, as Big said, I think we can't iterate it enough. We are so blessed, honestly, to be in a server that's been open for 53 days and to have a player base of 20, 25 players pretty consistently. And it seems like we're growing every day. I don't even have to advertise that often. You guys are inviting people of your friends and people. So I'm gonna do some more advertising. And I'll be, sharing that with you guys so you can help upvote our server and stuff like that. And yeah, we should get the ball rolling some more. We're taking that much needed pressure off, and that's why we're asking, for even development experience, from you guys, just because even if you're doing little things, even if you don't think that you're going to make that much of an impact, every little bit helps, and that really helps us be more transparent with the community. And we just want the right people in these spots, because we just know how important it is to keep our team safe and secure and our city safe and secure, and make sure that we have the right people delegating this stuff out to you guys. All right. Is there any last minute questions? The last call. Last call. Any last minute questions or last minute people that want to speak? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No, I'm just kidding. You can use our forms and stuff and communicate with us. So there's so many people typing. I'm terrified. I'm sorry, Eric is spoken for. Eric is not on the bachelor table, so he is definitely spoken for.
Is enough thruple okay? Everyone back away.
Yeah, he's got a long list of suitors, honestly. So you better get in line.
I would have said yes, Newt, if you didn't diss my name earlier. I saw that.
Oh, did he spell with a C?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's a no-go, my friend.
All right, we're gonna need a ban up in here. Can we get an admin to ban him?
Ban hammers for everyone.
It's a really great awkward silence right now.
Just watching
I'm
these
just gonna,
types.
just gonna speak up.
Start
just 'cause
playing
it's
music.
awkward.
Yeah.
Impounding cars as a mechanic, that's something that I haven't personally put too much thought into, so I'll have to think about that and talk to the rest of the team and see what
Yeah,
they
I feel
think
like
before I say anything
yeah.
definitive. But I definitely hear you on that. I saw you mention that, and we'll make a note of it.
Last question. I don't know if there was a mention, but possibility of warehouses for Dynasty 8. Yes. So we did talk about that a little bit. We are going to look into more layouts for you guys. As we're learning more about how some of this works, it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get some of these shells of places to do. But yeah, I think that it's definitely a possibility for us to create some of those things. And I'm beyond excited. I get freaking hyped up every single time I think about all the things that we want to incorporate into the city because they are on the list. We haven't forgot about them. It's just, the foundation for us is really important, and I think that's what you guys are experiencing, the growing pains with that right now of us really getting that foundation together. And once we get that foundation, you're going to see a lot more kind of being implemented. And as we grow our team as well, we're going to get more people in here working for us and helping us all along the way. So that's going to be awesome. Dixie, for your mechanic repair kits question, the repair kits it's tough because the repair kits now that are there, they're actually only repair your engine. They're not supposed to be a fully repaired situation. There might be some advanced repair kits that I'm forgetting about. So yeah, maybe that is something we can look back into. Really, the repair kits should get you to the shop. They're really not much more than that.
Yeah, that's the intended use case for those is just to if like your car doesn't move anymore because the engine's completely broken, it gets the engine working just enough so you can drive it to a shop. So we can we'll definitely have more discussions on that and maybe get something in place like an advanced kit for mechanics that work a little bit differently or more powerful or etc.
Heck yeah, we had 31 people in this chat. I want to see 31 people in the city. No, just kidding.
We peaked at 32.
Yeah, there's a lot of exploits for visually fixing your car. Car damage is tracked in the database. So even if it looks visually fixed, it's actually still degrading over time. At least your engine and as well as visual damage. And after a while, the garage script will start to apply damage when you spawn it. Car damage is a very difficult thing to properly handle from a 5M perspective, just because of the way it works on GTA. And we'll definitely be constantly trying to fix exploits, but it's always going to be an issue. It's kind of a cat and mouse game, and I don't think it'll ever be perfectly buttoned up. So it's definitely another one of those instances where we want to kind of cultivate a culture of realistic RP. And if we find people who are exploiting that a lot, definitely let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can start taking staff action on this stuff, if we really need to. But it's like, you guys all whitelisted to this, and we obviously want to let players be a part of our community. But yeah, as Big said, it's all about leading by example. It's very important for us, So if you know people who are exploiting that, let us know. We'll have a conversation with them. Hopefully, you guys take that away from today. That you guys are chilling out on using those things and really spreading your RP out. Let those other businesses get that role play in. Let them have that. Get a ride from the taxi company. You know, go down. I don't know what another good example is. EMS. You expand your injuries. Limp out of the office. Be in pain afterwards, even after you get treatment. Really role play that stuff out. Yeah, Stephanie, there is actually an FAQ already in our Discord. I don't know how many people have actually read it. Same for the tips and tricks. Tips and tricks and FAQ is there for you. That's frequently, asked questions. And we've got the tips and tricks to give you a guide on like what we expect in roleplay or some of the things that will help you be better. I would love to see us expand those as well. Adam, you have a /em for emote menu or /emote menu. You can write it out either way or do /em. That will actually bring up the menu for you that has a list of all the things that you can do emote wise.
Just real quick, I'd like to add a final comment from me. Just a reminder that all of us, it takes all of us, right, to have a successful city and to make sure that the RP is flourishing and that we're all having a great experience. So just remember that while you might be the main character of your own story, everyone has their own story, right? And so every time you interact with someone, every time you do something for someone, every time you have an argument with someone, that affects not only you and not only that person, but everybody else in the city. It's a very cohesive unit. It's a living and breathing city, and we want it to be that way. And it's going to take every single one of us putting forth our best effort, having fun, utilizing the options that we have available to us in the city, RPing, creating great storylines, all of those things make a big difference for everyone. And it's amazing how one thing that one player does when they're in the city can impact so many other people. So I encourage everybody to really think about that as you go into the city either tonight or whenever you do the next time, to just think about how you as a character, your character, can enhance someone else's role play, and think about it in a way that like you're there to help other people have fun, and keep that mindset. I think that will really encourage some really great storylines to come out.
Yeah, I love it. We have something in our tips and tricks actually that says, you're the co-star in someone else's movie. So, don't always have to be the star. We all have like our moments that we want to be the star of the show. But always keep it in mind that we're there to create a good storyline for everyone. So,
But thanks, guys, for making the city awesome, and we look forward to continuing to make it great for everybody. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate y'all. Got to get some exit music. I like it.
Yeah, I'm the DJ in chief. Okay, did you see my status?
Keep my hands on myself. Pick out just a moment.